hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Spurling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
Rockin' what up with D. Rockin' what up with D. You are rockin' what up with D. Yeah, that is what we do it. Rockin' what up with D. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome. Shout out to my man Sleepy G 2011. I appreciate having you in here, man. I appreciate you being the first one up in the broadcast. Y'all make sure y'all let me know where you're chiming in from, and make sure that if you're in here, you need to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's not play that game. I need you all to help me get my subscriptions up. You understand what I'm saying? Pretend like it's 1983 and you're 15 years old. Okay, and you found that the Playboy under your daddy's bed. You know what I'm talking about? I need y'all to help me get my subscriptions up. That's what I need you all to do. Y'all make sure y'all do that for Uncle D. Anyway, so somebody type Voting Rights Act in the chat room. Somebody type Voting Rights Act in the chat room. So the Democrats are in an uproar because you've seen them all over the internet complaining and crying and acting shocked. And the reason is simple. The United States Supreme Court issued a major ruling in a case called Louisiana versus Callais. Okay, and that ruling, it basically changed how political power is going to be distributed in this country. On April 29th, the Supreme Court, what they did was they really weakened the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And what that case was about, it was a Louisiana congressional map, and had only one majority black congressional district, even though the black residents make up roughly 1/3 of the state's population. And a lower federal court had previously found that Louisiana likely violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act because the voting power was diluted. And so what they were trying to do is they was trying to draw a swath of voting block from Louisiana, from New Orleans all the way up through Baton Rouge, all the way up through Alexandria, and it just looked weird. It looked like a worm sliding across a piece of concrete, if you would step over it, something like that, a little slimy worm. But anyway, Louisiana tried to create a second majority black district to comply with the ruling, but the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 and held that Louisiana's new map was unconstitutional because it was racial gerrymandering. And the court viewed the Voting Rights Act. It didn't require Louisiana to create that second majority black. And now what's happening here is the court basically, it didn't formally erase Section 2. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more because most of y'all don't know what the hell is the Voting Rights Act. What is the act? Is it a play or something like that? That's not what we're talking about. Y'all forgot about your civics classes. Okay. But basically, it didn't require Louisiana to create that second voting act. This is the thing. The court didn't formally erase Section 2 from the Voting Rights Act. They didn't say Section 2 no longer exists. They did something more technical. But just as consequential, they narrowed Section 2 so severely that it'll now be much harder for black voters and minority voters to challenge electoral maps that weaken their voting strength. Okay, Section 2 was supposed to protect voters um, and make sure everybody had a chance to be heard through representation. I mean, that was the original intent. Now, did it work like that? Some would say yes, some would say no. What's the point of electing somebody because they're black and, they represent a black constituency, and then they turn around and say something like, well, I'm just representing everybody. I represent people of color. I kind of think that's what happened to black folks. But anyway, the protection was especially important after the Supreme Court's 2013 Shelby County v. Holder decision, which weakened federal pre-clearance. They took that away, which is one of the strongest tools. Because, back in the day, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi was real racist. So before they even got a chance to change the voting area, they said, you need to ask us permission because we know how you are. Now, the majority opinion was written by Justice Samuel Alito, and it said the Voting Rights Act can't be interpreted in a way that forces states to engage in unconstitutional race-based redistricting. Okay, and so in plain English, the court said Louisiana couldn't justify drawing that second majority district unless the Voting Rights Act actually required it. And because the court concluded that Section 2 didn't require Louisiana to, or let me say, the court it didn't require Louisiana to create that second majority black district. The state had no compelling legal reason to use race that heavily and draw the map. So the map was struck down as an unconstitutional racial gerrymandering, and that's the legal holding. And at this particular point, I guess I would say the political impact or fallout is going to be pretty big as far as those politicals who are involved in the political system and who are running for the seat, especially now in the midterm. Now, normally the president loses the House in the midterm, but now you never know. But anyway, so the thing is, what we have to understand is that, well, bottom line, that's why the civil rights groups are calling this devastating. That's why the black, they're out there. Shout out to G.Y. Green. Appreciate you for being the first person to contribute to the super chat. The NAACP Legal Defense Fund, they described the case as a landmark decision, gutted. Somebody said the mic, is it the mic? I should have asked y'all ahead of time. How's the mic? Is the mic not clear? You guys got to tell me, because sometimes I don't know if the mic is clear. Somebody said the mic is not doing what it's supposed to do. Give me a second. We try to tighten it up. Microphone. Okay. It should work better. This should work better. The mic should be fine now. I just had to click some buttons. That should do it. Thank you so much for helping me out. All right, so let's get back to work. So like I was saying, is the NAACP said that this is gutted the Civil Rights Act. You got other commenters and voting rights advocates. They've said the decision is going to transform redistricting litigation across the country because it makes it much easier to require majority minority districts as a remedy for vote. Then, of course, you have the three justices that dissented. Elena Kagan, she wrote the dissent, and her argument was that the majority effectively rewrote Section 2 and undermined what Congress intended when it amended the Voting Rights Act in 1982. Congress changed Section 2 because providing intentional discrimination was too difficult, okay? The whole point was that the voters should be able to challenge election systems that produce discriminatory results. And so if you have a situation where you have a bunch of black people are voting and they never get a black representation, then that's going to be a problem. And that's the type of result. And here's the bottom line: the Supreme Court didn't formally repeal the Voting Act. They didn't tear the statute out of the law books. They didn't say black people and minority voters can no longer vote, right? Or they no longer have the right to vote. What they did was more technical. They just, but consequential. They took one of the last major enforcement tools left from the civil rights era and made it much harder to use.
And what I want to point out to you all is, look, we are no longer the minority, the number one minority, are we? The Latinos are. Latinos, this is you all are up. We're all those people of color, those Latinos. And when we had it, we held it down. We got all these rights, and you all wanted to supplant us to take our place. You're the number one, you're the majority minority. You got the ball, and the white folks have stopped you on the 50-yard line. You are actually losing ground, okay? You're losing the ground that we fought for. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit more technical because I know my audience likes this stuff a little bit technical. So, you know, the Democrats are in an uproar, and this is why the civil rights organizations are sounding the alarm. You know, you got people online saying the Voting Rights Act has been gutted. It's blah, 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 bad, bad, bad. You know, Trump bad. We hate the Supreme Court. But, you know, the old civil rights protection is still sitting there in the United States Code, but the ability to actually use it, the ability to stop states from cracking and packing and diluting black voting power has been weakened now. And that's the part people need to understand. The rights that can't be enforced are not really rights, are they? You got a right to drive your car, but because it's your car, but somebody else has the keys. Is it really your car? If they have your keys and they're driving your car, I mean, do you really have a right to drive it? Probably not. I mean, you have a right to drive it, but you have no way to actually drive the car. You see what I'm saying? And that's kind of where we are with the Civil Rights Voting Act. And that's why you got Democrats. But again, by the time I get finished with this broadcast, I think you all have a better understanding of what's really going on. Now, to understand why the Supreme Court ruling matters, people need to understand why the Voting Rights Act of 1965 existed in the first place. Okay, the Voting Rights Act didn't just come out of nowhere. It wasn't some symbolic law, and it definitely wasn't a handout. It was a federal response to nearly 100 years of black people being blocked, intimidated, cheated, taxed, tested, beaten, and murdered for trying to exercise our constitutional right to vote. They had something called, you had to pay money. Black folks would show up at the polls and they would make you recite the Constitution backwards with no vowels. You know, you got people who are working on a farm all day and they have to memorize the Constitution before they can even exercise the vote. And if you missed one word, you couldn't vote. Isn't that something? Now, here's some history. After the Civil War, the United States passed the 15th Amendment in 1870. We always hear about the 14th Amendment, the 13th Amendment. The 15th Amendment, that amendment said the right to vote couldn't be denied or on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. In other words, just because you were a slave doesn't mean you can't vote. In plain English, black men were supposed to have the right to vote after slavery. Okay, now keep in mind, women couldn't vote. Black men actually got the right to vote before women got the right to vote. And that includes white women. And that's what pissed white women off. And that's how you got the suffrage movement. How dare you, Tom? How dare you let the black man vote, those N-words vote? You won't let us vote. Oh, Martha. And so white women fought to get their right to vote because at least they would be equal to the N-words. Okay. Let's not forget that racism has been the primary motivator for so much stuff in this country, including wars and movements. Even women's rights. And that's what I find interesting. But what happened next in the southern states, they figured out how to violate the spirit of the Constitution without always saying the quiet part out loud. We don't want these blacks to vote. Okay, so the law said black men could vote, but the local governments created the systems to make sure they couldn't actually use the right. And understand the hypocrisy in that. Black people were paying taxes. We were working our butts off. We were buying goods. Okay, we were paying property taxes directly or indirectly through rent. Okay, we're paying sales taxes. We're contributing to the state and local tax base. Our labor helped build the roads and schools and courthouses and jails and bridges and public buildings and county governments. But when it came time to decide who controlled those taxes, who sat on the school board, who ran the sheriff's office, who controlled the courthouse, who became mayor, who became governor, who became judge, who became prosecutor, black people were told, nah, you can't vote. Now you take our money and you use our money Our money is good enough, but you don't want our input. You ever had somebody keep asking you for money and borrowing money, and then when you try to say, hey, look, this is the advice that I have for you because I want to keep my money, and guess what they say? No, that ain't none of your business. Hold on, well, stop asking me for my money then. You ever had somebody borrow some money and then they don't want you to hear your advice? You keep asking me for money. I'm trying to give you some advice on so that you don't have to ask me for my money again. And that's the whole situation. They're taking black people's money, but they don't want our vote. And see, that's the antithesis of democracy. It's basically taxation without representation. Okay, and black people were forced to fund the government, the white government, didn't represent us, it didn't protect us, didn't educate our children equally. The police treated us bad. Okay, and we couldn't vote. And we had a whole bunch of racist officials that we were paying their salary. And so, and the tools used to block the black vote weren't they weren't accidental. It was very deliberate, and it was very rampant in the southern states. They had, as I said, they had things like poll taxes, where you had to pay some exorbitant amount of money. You got poor people. You got poor people out here paying to vote. And can you imagine that? So they use the cost of voting to prohibit people from actually exercising the right. If you can't afford to vote, you can't vote, right? You don't have gas money, you can't drive. You can have a car, you can have a driver's license, but you can't drive. You see? And so this is the way they did things. Other things, they had grandfather clause. If your granddaddy didn't vote, you can't vote. Well, look here. My granddaddy was born in slavery. My daddy was born in slavery. And so you telling me that if my granddaddy didn't vote, I can't vote? Are you kidding me? That's another slick way. And then literacy test. Now, I want to remind you that for hundreds of years, it was illegal for black people to even learn how to read. And so now you telling me I need to be able to read the Constitution and I'm, 4 or 5 years out of slavery? Are you kidding me? But that's the stuff they had set up, okay? And of course, you had the guys outside with the sticks and the bats, just straight up standing in front of the poll. Imagine you being one or two black men, and you out there, and it's about 50 white dudes with bats and guns, and the sheriff is there, and they just stand there intimidating you, okay? And then, of course, if you did vote, they might boycott your business. So that's economic retaliation. And, of course, you had the straight up racial terrorism. If you go out there and vote, we're going to do something to you. And a lot of black people got ran out of the South for that. So if you're black and you try to register, you could lose your job, you could get evicted, your name would be published in the newspaper, you'd be threatened by the KKK, you could be beaten, you could be killed. And this wasn't just about ballots, this was about power, okay? Because there's power in the vote. So this is about power. So let's keep that in mind. The whole principle of it. Remember, after Reconstruction, they had to put us uppity N-words back in our place. We got beside ourselves. We got all these rights. We had people in Congress, black men in Congress calling shots. That had white folk hotter than fish grease. The idea that they had centuries and centuries of somebody they can step on, and now those people they used to step on are doing better than them. Had them running hot. But again, I would say the poll tax is the clearest example of fraud because the government basically said you had to pay money before you could vote. And so that meant poor people were blocked from voting because of the racial caste system in the South. That burden fell especially hard on black folks. And the 24th Amendment ratified in 1964, it outlawed poll tax in federal elections. At that time, 5 states still maintained a poll tax. You come to Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, or Arkansas, you had to pay before you voted if you was a black man. But even after the 24th Amendment banned those taxes in federal elections, some states still tried to use poll taxes in state and local elections, okay? And that's why the Supreme Court had to decide a case called Harper v. Virginia Board of Elections in 1966. And in that case, the court held that making somebody pay a fee or a tax before they could vote, that violated the 14th Amendment. That violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. In other words, the court finally said wealth shouldn't be or couldn't be used as a voting qualification. And then, of course, there was a literacy test, something I talked about. These weren't honest tests of literacy. They were weapons, okay? White registrars could ask black applicants impossible or subjective questions But they just let the white folk come on in and pass, because many of the white people couldn't read either. Okay, the South was an ignorant place back in the late 19th century. But a black applicant might be asked to interpret some complicated section of the Constitution. Tell me what the who wrote the Constitution and what day was it? You can't even read. Okay, right? Tell me about the Equal Protection Clause under the Constitution. What does the 13th Amendment say? They don't even know what does the First and Second Amendment talk about. But the white folks, you know, they might have passed without even having a real test. And so the point wasn't literacy. The point was try to exclude people. And the results were exactly what the government planned. So in 1964, black voter registration in the South was still suppressed. Mississippi only, mind you, Mississippi has a bunch of black people, right? But only 6.7 of them were eligible to vote, okay? Were registered in 1964. Think about that. Less than 7 out of every 100 black men citizens in Mississippi were registered to vote. And that wasn't because they didn't care about voting. That wasn't because they didn't care about where their money went and who spent it. That was because the state had built a political machine designed to keep black people politically powerless. And in Alabama, black voters registration was also suppressed before the Voting Rights Act. And only 19.3% of adult black folk in Alabama were registered to vote in 1964. Now, after the Voting Rights Act, that number rose to 61.3% by 1969. So that statistic still tells that statistic tells the story. Okay, black people didn't suddenly become interested in voting in 1965. We've been wanting to do it because remember they had us serving in wars. Okay, they had us serving in wars. And so the federal government said we have to start cracking down these walls. And of course, you guys remember the Freedom Riders and the bus riders, all those young kids would come down from the north. That's how people end up getting, killed. You see, they came down to register black voters. So those white kids put their white bodies in front of those white billy clubs. Of course, it was black children too, Jewish, everybody was involved. And they made a big spectacle out of it. Now, the Voting Rights Act had an immediate impact, okay? And so by the end of 1965, about 250,000 new black people have registered to vote, and 1/3 of them were registered by federal examiners, okay? And black registration increased from less than 1/3 in 1965, and by the end of 66, only 4 of the 13 southern states had black voters registered. Now, here's the cold part about it. The white folk that didn't want black people to vote, they'd say stuff, oh, they don't want to vote anyway. The blacks don't want to vote. They don't want to participate. All our blacks are happy. Our niggers are happy down here. They don't want to vote. And then I guess, that's the BS, because of course, we know that we want to participate. We want to know, we want to be in charge of where our money's going. We want the money that we pay into the taxes to go to our children. Of course we do. We want that money to go to our schools. So of course we wanted to vote. And as you could see, they registered to vote in droves. Now, remember what's happening on the ground. Black people weren't merely asking for abstract rights. We were living under local governments that controlled every part of our lives. Local officials control the schools, they control the police, they control the public jobs, okay? They control the roads, the drainage, the public housing, the hospital, the jury selection, the zoning. You're a black man, you wanted to open a business, you had to get a permit. You had to go to that white man, okay? And people couldn't vote. They couldn't remove the sheriff who was crooked. They were getting terrorized by the same sheriff and couldn't vote him out. They couldn't remove the school board that purposely redirected money that should go to the black schools because they put it to the white schools. And I'm talking about tax dollars from the black community, black money going to fund white schools. You see, they don't tell you that part. That's what civil rights was really about. It was about where our money was going. So if you all don't want to give us our money, we're going to go sit in y'all schools, or you white schools. We're going to force y'all to let us sit in there unless y'all give us our money. And the white folks said, well, the rich white people said, well, we rather just we'll let the blacks and the poor whites mingle together. We'll send our kids to private school. They just threw the poor white people under the bus. That's how they really feel. But anyway, this is the point people miss. Voting wasn't just about choosing the president every 4 years. Voting was about local power. It was about tax dollars. It was about who got a school, who got a hospital, who got paved roads, who got police protection, who got a fair trial, who got public employment, who got ignored. And that connects directly to the tax issue. Black people were paying into the system, but they were locked out of the controlling the system. Our money went to in the public budgets, but our votes suppressed, so we couldn't decide how the money was spent. Okay, we were governed without consent. We were taxed without equal representation. We were forced to live under policies that had no meaningful power to change. And that's why the civil rights movement focused so heavily on voting. And that's why Selma, Alabama mattered. That's why people marched across Edmund Pettus Bridge. That's why we dealt with the Bloody Sunday that shocked the nation. These people were taking our money and not giving us representation. Okay, this was not about us wanting to sit up next. You think have any of us ever fought to go sit next to white people? If you don't see a bunch of black people fighting to get into the damn country and western concert, we were not doing that. We wanted our money to be spent on our schools. We want our money to be spent on our roads and our infrastructure. The white folks would take our tax dollars and spend it on themselves. So they got our money and their money, and we didn't spend any to give us a few pennies out of our own money. How would that make you feel? Huh? But anyway, so you had civil rights, ordinary black people were beaten by state troopers for this because we demanded the right to vote. And 5 months later, on August 6th, 1965, LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, he signed the Voting Rights Act. And that law was very specific. The Voting Rights Act was passed to enforce the 15th Amendment. It authorized a federal intervention where states and local governments were denying black folks the right to vote, or anybody on the base of their race and color. It allowed the federal examiners and federal oversight because Congress understood some states couldn't be trusted. Those same states, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, etc. So when people talk about the Voting Rights Act, they need to understand that it was built to confront what it was built to confront. It was built to confront state-sponsored racial exclusion. It was built to confront local governments that took took our money, and then denied us political power to determine where it should go. It was built to confront counties where black people had huge percentages of the population, but had little to no representation because the election system was rigged against us based on our color. And that's why the Supreme Court ruling is so serious, because when you weaken the Voting Rights Act, you're not just changing the election, you're weakening one of the main tools that black people use or did use at that time to challenge the same kind of political exclusion that defined this whole Jim Crow era. Okay. Now, I'm going to do something different that I haven't done before. Does anybody have any questions? I know this is complicated. I know I'm talking fast. Does anybody have any questions? If you have any questions, let me know. I will be taking preference to super chats. But if I see a random question I think is good, I'll read it. Okay. Now, so let me know if you have any questions about this. I know it's a complicated subject. You heard a lot of people talking about it. But anyway, the Voting Rights Act is born out of simple truth. A government has no more legitimacy when it taxes people and governs people and policies, polices people, and educates their children and controls their neighborhoods and spends their money, but then denies them any meaningful vote or voice in how the government operates. That's not democracy. That's managed domination. Okay? Now, look at here. I need y'all to understand something. Now, let's talk about the immediate effect, the political power, okay? And that's why this is a reality. See, this isn't just some dry legal ruling. This is about who gets to sit in Congress, okay? Who gets to control the House of Representatives and who gets to decide what happens to these dollars, these federal tax dollars and these these federal laws and who gets to put judges in office and who gets investigated and who doesn't, who gets what, who gets the money, okay? And first, people need to understand how the House of Representatives works. You all understand there are two, we say Congress, but there are two different parts of Congress, the senators and the House of Representatives, okay? Let's think about the senators like this. They're elected for 6 years. They come and the presidents come and go. The senators still there. The House, each state gets two. Okay, we have 50 states, 100 senators. All right, United States, House of Representatives, 435 votes, and those seats are divided among the states based on population after the census. So here's a little caveat. What happens if we stop counting illegal immigrants on the census? That means places like California and Nevada, New Mexico, with all those illegal immigrants, they can't count them anymore. They losing seats. Where'd y'all think that come from? Somebody type 3/5 in the chat room. That whole because look, 3/5. This is what the whole notion of 3/5. Here, I'm in New York. We have all these people. Yeah, well, I'm down in South Carolina. We got people too, but your people are property. Yeah, but they still use the roads. They still eat. They still need food. Yeah, but you said they're property though. Yeah, I know I said they're property, but but for the purposes of this, House of Representatives, us folk down here in South Carolina, we should be able to count our blacks, our Negroes as people. Well, no, you can't have it both ways. Well, what do you want to do? We can split the difference. Well, how about this? How about we call each one of our blacks 3/5 of a person? Well, can we do half? Well, no, we don't want to do half a person. We'll do 3/5 of a person. All right, you got a deal. So we'll say each black person is 3/5 of the purpose for the purpose of counting who gets representatives in the House of Representatives. And that's how that came about. It was a compromise. So you black people, you FBA, you are your political two drunk white boys got together in 17 close to 1800, decide you were 3/5 of a purpose for the 3/5 of a person for the purposes of counting you so that they can figure out how many representatives they got in the House. Nevertheless, the House is divided amongst the states by population, and that process is called apportionment. And every state gets at least one House seat, and then the rest are divided based on the population. So if a state has more people and generally gets more representatives, like Texas, it has more seats than Mississippi because Texas has more people. And California has more people than Louisiana because California has more people. And that's the first step. But see, the second step is where the game gets played. Apportionment decides how many seats a state gets, and redistricting decides where those seats are drawn. So yeah, you might get 20 seats, but do I want these people to be Republican or Democrat? So depending on how I draw my lines in each particular state is going to determine whether or not they're going to be Republican or Democrat. For instance, if you live in Texas, if you create 15 lines around Houston, and you could do it because Houston is big as New Jersey, then you will have 15 Democratic representatives. Okay, and then you put the whole West Texas, they only get one representative. So your lines are weird. But the bottom line is that means you're going to be sending more Democrats from Texas to the House than Republicans. And this is why this works. And of course, the Democrats are like, well, look, we know these blacks are going to vote for us. So it behooves us to allot as many districts encompassing black populations as possible. And that's what they did. And that's what they were trying to do. And the Supreme Court said, no, that's racism. You can't do that. And we know it's racism, but that racism is used to counteract the hundreds of years of racism. Yeah, but we're over that phase. Okay. And so that's generally what's said. Now, once the state knows how many House seats it's supposed to have or it can't have, the state will then draw what's called congressional districts. Each district elects one person to the United States House of Representatives, so the lines matter, the borders matter, the neighborhoods include the district, and the neighborhoods exclude from the district. So what if you got what if you cut the black neighborhood in half? You got a whole white neighborhood over here and half of a black neighborhood, right? And let's say the white people are more Republican inclined. You're going to have a Republican. And then you take the other half of the neighborhood and you slice that up with another white neighborhood. So now you got two Republicans instead of one Democrat that would represent that black neighborhood. You see? So, again, because the lines, if you draw the lines one way, you can create a district where black voters have enough voting power to elect the candidate of their choice. But if you draw the lines another way, you can break that same black community apart and scatter those voters into multiple districts, and they get outnumbered. So they get caught up. That's called cracking. Okay. That's not smoking crack. Okay. For you all who have that uncle. Okay. It's called cracking. But you crack the black vote into pieces. Okay. So it can't control any one district. And that's what this ruling opens the door to happen. Okay. So for years, one of the ways black voters were able to protect political representation was through majority black or majority minority districts. In plain English, if black folk were concentrated in a particular area and that evidence showed their voting strength was being diluted, then the Voting Rights Act could require that the state draw a district where black people had a fair opportunity to get elected or elect their preferred candidate. Now, because the Supreme Court's ruling the Republican-controlled states, well, more likely than not, and they're doing it right now, okay? They're going to say, well, we're not discriminating. We're just drawing these race-neutral maps. We'll put a couple of black people over here. We'll put some black people over there. We're gonna split back. We're gonna split New Orleans in 15 different places, and they're all gonna be white, mixed in with Republicans who are on the outskirts. So let's be honest, about why that matters. Black voters are one of the most loyal Democratic voting blocs in the whole country. And in practical political terms, when you have a congressional district that's heavily black, that district is usually going to vote Democratic. That's not a mystery. We know that. It's not complicated. So when you draw a district around black neighborhoods and black communities and black populations, they know what they're going to get. You're creating a seat that's likely to get a Democrat. And in most of these southern states, those districts are some of the only places where black voters can actually elect a candidate of our choice. In other words, a black candidate. Okay. And now the Republicans, they see an opening. Okay. And the immediate move is going to be the Republican controlled legislators going to go back and draw some lines, and they're going to take Al Green out of here, baby. Oh, Al Green is gone. You gone. Who else? Name the rest of them. What's the name? Sheila. What's the name over there out there in California? All of them gone. They're gone. Okay. So here's the thing. So instead of having one district where black voters might be, let's say 45, 50, or 55% of the voting age population, you break that community into several districts where the black voters are only 18%, 22%, 25%, or 30%. And once that happens, those voters, they still gonna vote. Nobody's gonna stop you from voting, okay? And somebody's saying the audio isn't clear. The audio is still not clear? Are you guys serious? I've been talking all this time, but y'all telling me the audio is still not clear. Who lying? Are you lying? Somebody says the audio is not clear. Somebody says the audio is not clear. That's about as clear as I can get it. That's all I got. Okay. Somebody said it's cool. Well, y'all, why you lying to me then? Don't we come in here lying to me about the audio? Anyway, so that's kind of what's happening. Okay. Again, this is not 1950 something where they're gonna have a poll tax, and most of y'all don't have enough money. That's why y'all not contributing to my super chat. Either that, I'm doing a horrible job of teaching y'all, because as I always say, if you learn something, I should earn something. And I've been talking for about 40 minutes and I got one super chat. But again, most of y'all don't have the money to pay for poll tax. If you had to pay to vote, I know ladies, they can't get in the club free. They ain't going. Can you imagine forcing black folk to pay to vote? They not going. They want the hookup. Let me get a hookup on that vote, baby. I'm voting Green Party, baby. Let me get that hookup. Nah, you got to go to the back of the line. Oh, where the VIP section out? Nah, that ain't what we're doing. But anyway, that whole thing is called vote dilution. And that's how you can make people's votes technically exist, but practically they don't exist. You just lose power. But you know, still they get a ballot. You know, they'll be walking into the polling place and they'll still vote. But it's like spitting in the ocean. Nobody cares or nobody notices. It won't have any effect. But the map has already been drawn in a way that makes the votes less likely to result in a representation. That's the trick. That's the game. And that's why redistricting is important. All right. Now, this could affect control of Congress. If the House of Representatives, in the House of Representatives, you don't need to change 50 seats to change power. Shout out to TJ PTB81. Sometimes control of the House comes down to just a handful of votes, seats, 5 seats, 10 seats, dozen seats. And that's enough to decide who becomes the Speaker of the House. And that's enough to decide which party controls the committees. That's enough to decide which legislation gets moves or dies. That's enough to decide whether subpoenas get sent for investigations and whether judges get scrutinized and budgets get pushed or the government gets shut down. Okay. So, when people say, why are Democrats upset? This is why, because a lot of Democrats held House seats, held together by Black voting strength, Latino voting strength, minority coalition districts. If those districts get chopped up without the same and don't have the same voting power, okay, some of those seats are going to disappear. And the person currently representing that district, you out of here. Okay, you're gone. You see? Yeah, you still live there. The neighborhood's still the same, but the district itself is gone. And those invisible lines, you see? You don't have to remove the voters. You don't have to move the lines. The district that used to send a Democrat to Congress is going to be cracked apart and absorbed into the surrounding Republican district. And once that happens, there's no guarantee that the Democrat Party will get enough votes to even have any newly drawn lines. Okay? Period. And that's why the ruling is bigger than the map. Okay? That's it. So again, the immediate effect, the ballot still exists. The voting booth still exists. The election day still exists. You're not going to lose your job. But the district that made the political power effective, or should I say the Black political power that we call it, shout out to Fuquan, thank you, fam. And once the district is chopped up and cracked apart and redistributed, the result is simple. You have fewer reliable Democratic seats, fewer Black preferred candidates going to Congress, and more Republican opportunities to control the House of Representatives. And that leads to the part that the Democratic politicians, this is why they're losing their mind right now. Okay? This is why they're losing their mind. Now, I have a few videos I want to share with you all because, this is what I do. I like to let y'all, because, I know y'all don't believe me. I know that already. I'm sure you don't believe me. Okay? You don't. Most of y'all think I got some liquor in this jelly jar, but I don't. It's just water. And people want to know why I use, this is why I use jelly jar I don't know if you all figured it out yet, but I'm a pretty big man. Okay, I'm 6'4", almost 6'5". This is my hand around a regular cup. Okay, this is look at my hand around this regular cup. Okay, and this is not really a small cup. So the reason I use this jelly jar is because it kind of fits. You understand what I'm saying? So I drink my water, staying hydrated. That's why I had this beautiful complexion and skin. This is how I say so young and vibrant and handsome. Oh man, anyway, so let's look at a couple of these videos. Y'all, let's look at some Democrats crying. Hit the #1 button if you can hear me clearly. Fair uses from PBS. Boom.
A district that is not majority Black. Absolutely. So let's not have a binary conversation about only Black people can represent Black seats. Because when we do.
Somebody type Black in the chat room. Black. Somebody type Black. I've never heard just heard that first 5 seconds. Okay. I've never heard this many Democrats say Black. Okay, let's see if we hear one people of color. I want to hear, y'all let me know if we hear one people of color. Shout out to Sonny Robinson.
Represented district, the entirety of the district rises. This is a larger issue. This is a larger issue about snatching democracy from the hands of voters across this country and continuing to demoralize and marginalize the black vote. So this is a call to action.
Somebody count how many times they're saying black, because they don't say black when we say tangibles. Every time they say black, somebody type tangible.
If you are black, if you love anything that is black, you need to be working to get everybody registered to vote, because your vote's on the line next.
Freedom and move this nation closer to its ideals. This is a court that is.
Look at old Al Green. Y'all know Al Green is my neighbor. Shout out to Al Green. Al Green is my office neighbor. But anyway, let's keep going.
Is turning back its back on that legacy and on the people it is supposed to serve. But we're not powerless. And we're not backing down. The Congressional Black Caucus is prepared to take any measure necessary to protect black voters in this country. We're demanding an immediate vote on the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and we will not accept the...
I mean, how many times have they said black? Has it been like 13 times? They're saying black with specificity. They're saying black with, they're specifically saying black. Why aren't they calling the people of color? What happened to the people of color in the Black and Brown Coalition? Why are these people asking for black people? Because as I recall, they said they really can't do anything for black people. I've heard that numerous occasions. Let's keep listening. Shout out to Storyteller.
Delay, obstruction, or excuses. We will and we will go further. We will fight for Supreme Court reform. We will pursue term limits for justices, and we will do what it takes.
So you still not talk about reparations, a anti-black discrimination bill, hate crime, but none of that. You still trying to, okay, let's keep going.
Just restore integrity, accountability, and trust, because no institution is above the people it serves. So let me be clear.
Now, I do like that little part in her hair. She got that part is clean. That part is clean.
This fight is not just about Black America. It is
black
about the future of American democracy itself.
Gotta always include.
Shout out to this fella right here, man. Y'all go check out his channel, man. But again, I mean, I have not heard this many blacks.
I represent Alabama's 7th Congressional District. We fondly call ourselves Alabama's Civil Rights District, which includes the historic cities of Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and my hometown of Selma, Alabama.
That's a pretty lady. I'm gonna tell you something. That's a fine, pretty lady right there. Look how pretty she is.
Today, the far-right Supreme Court has dealt a devastating blow to our democracy.
Shout out to McCady Ibmore. Thank you so much.
And to the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Yes, baby.
It will pave the way for the greatest reduction in representation for black and minority voters since the years following Reconstruction.
I just want you, I'm only listening to her because she's pretty. Go ahead. Keep talking, baby. Go ahead.
What the court did today makes it easier for bad state actors to silence the voices of black voters and harder to challenge the discrimination in court. The court just gave states permission to use partisan gerrymandering as a wholesale excuse to deny black and minority voters a voice in our democracy.
That was the first time I heard minority. I've heard black about 20 times, and that's the first time. Somebody type black, somebody type specificity in the chat room, because normally when we hear Democratic, we start saying, hey, well, what are y'all gonna do for black people? Oh, no, we have to, this is America, blah, 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 blah. People of color, it's a coalition. I hear coalition, I don't hear black. Now you have all these people ask for black people. They're specifically asking you black people to get off of your couch. That's what they're asking you rich, snooty black people to do right now. All you rich black people who are looking at me from your expensive $1,000 cell phones, and with your earphones on and your little cordless headphones that cost a lot of money, they want you all to get out of your BMW and put down your expensive bag and come out there on the front lines and protest for them. That's what they want you all to do. But they calling you. Have they called the Samoans? What about I need you all to call the Chinese to the front. Why haven't you said call the Samoans? All right. I need you all to call the Ukrainians. Don't just call black people. Don't call black people. I want you to call all those other people who y'all have been helping so tremendously. Okay, not just black people. And I noticed they're not saying all black people. They talk about Selma, Alabama black people. Okay, so where the Haitians at? Where the Jamaicans at? Don't call the Selma, Alabama black people. No. Don't call the Jackson, Mississippi black people. It's some other kind of black people here. It's some little Haiti black people here. It's some little Jamaica black. It's a Jamaica Queens black people. Call them. Call them up. Call those blacks. Call those, those West African immigrant black people that just came over here, the people with a lot of vowels in their last name. Don't just call the Selma, Alabama black people. We hear you, but we resting. Let's keep listening.
The court just gave license to states to use partisan gerrymandering as an excuse to discriminate against the voices of the minority in government.
Okay.
We should not mince words. This is the height of hypocrisy from the—
Now I'm gonna tell you, she's a fine woman with some pretty teeth. Okay, fellas, I know I don't give dating advice, but let me tell you something. Pretty teeth you can't fake. Pretty teeth means somebody took care of this person for a long time. So find your woman with some good teeth, like this lady right here. Look at that pretty. Look at that. Oh, she look like she's a run track back in the day. Fine too. Go ahead with that green power suit on.
They just prioritize partisan politics over the sacred principle of fair representation. And the decision will have far-reaching consequences. It will not only suppress minority votes in the halls of Congress, but it will erode—
Shout out to Fake One. She looked like she read the morning announcement at the elementary school every day. Okay, that's what it looks like she did. And she ran for class president every year. That's what she looked like. Go ahead, baby.
Minority representation in state houses, city councils, and even school boards across this nation. With this decision, the extremists on the Supreme Court have completed their decades-long crusade to gut the Voting Rights Act of 1965. They willingly dismiss generations of legal precedent, of congressional intent, and the will of the American people. In doing so, they have given a green light to Donald Trump's partisan voter suppression scheme. Instead of—
All right, so shout out to Kaylin and Bert. So you get the point. All of them up there complain, here's how
that character, that conviction, and show up and stand up and speak up.
All of them together.
For what we know is right.
Man, y'all gonna lose your job. You gonna lose your job. You gonna lose your job. You gonna lose your job. Hakeem gonna lose his job. Hakeem gonna lose his job. You gonna lose your job, Hakeem. You out of there.
Turned around. We will not let their scheme.
You out of there, baby.
Let the extremists.
Oh no, you gotta go.
And what this decision—
Okay.
Everywhere, all the time.
Yeah. But that's enough of that. You get that point. Let's hear what some real people have to say. Hakeem gonna lose his job. That's what this is about. Hakeem gonna lose his job. You gonna lose your job. You gonna lose your job. Look at who just came into my— come on over here for a minute. Come on over here. He gonna lose his job. He gonna lose his job. Guess who got a job? Guess who got a job? Say hi to the people. Look at that. You know what I'm talking about? Something very important. This is the third. We just gonna start calling him the third. Introduce the people to who you are. Dennis also the third. Is that your middle name also? Don't tell them. They'll look you up and they will dox you and they will steal your social security number. Stand up so people can look at you. Well, actually go back down because see the person betwixt us. Now look, I'm gonna take a point of personal preference. Now look, you know what the internet said? The internet said my mama white. The internet said that my mama white. The internet said your grandma, Gloria Jean from Mississippi, is white. Did you know that's what the internet said? That's what the internet said. The internet said that my mama white and your mama white too. The internet said your mama white. Look at that boy nose. Look at that nose right there. Did that nose look like his mama's white? Look at my nose. Does it look like, huh? They can't see, y'all can't see him? Look at that. Does he look like his mama white? Do I look like my mama white? Do I talk like my mama's white? Now his mama, you see, he talks proper. Hey Dad, how are you? I'm very, anyway, we're talking about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Do you have anything you would like to add about the Voting Rights Act of 1965? Go ahead, come into the microphone.
I saw they made changes to it.
Yes, yes, they did. They made changes to the Voting Rights Act.
I saw something like they made it so Louisiana wouldn't have 2 black districts.
That's your homeland. That's where your mama from. His mama, that's his homeland, Louisiana, the land of crazy people. That's what it is. The land of people that think that their state is just the best state ever. They never leave Louisiana. You know, I know the history of Louisiana, and they have a television show. It's a documentary called The First 48. And between Memphis and Louisiana, they have some of the best shows for us. That's your people. That's your people. Your Louisiana, that's where your people from. But anyway, go ahead and continue. They don't want y'all voting. They don't want your people in Louisiana voting for them.
I thought that.
Go ahead.
I didn't learn much about it yet.
You haven't learned much about it? Okay, well, that's okay.
Right.
But yet, your people decided to go to the Supreme Court and fight so that they can have one big ass voting block from New Orleans all the way up to Alexandria. And they lost. Okay? That's what your people in your people in Louisiana messed it up for everybody. Are you proud of your people from Louisiana? I'm from California. Okay, I ain't like country ass nigga. I ain't like them. I'm not like y'all. I'm sophisticated. You understand what I'm saying? You know, your people ain't. I know my grandma and them from Mississippi, but that was in the 50s. Anything else you want to say to the people out here?
That's all I know about it.
That's all you know about it. That's good. That's good. Well, I'm gonna finish talking to them about it. You can carry forth and go on. And I wish you well. I see you have a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Can you show the people your? Well, you have to stand up and let them see. Look at. Stand up so the people can see that you have a purple belt. Okay, that's handsome. Did you know why you got the little soft flippity flop shoes on? The internet gonna talk. Come back, you can't see your head. So that's his purple belt in jiu-jitsu. This is bootleg kimono. Can't nobody see you. Your head is up there. You know your neck long. Can't nobody see you. So yeah, just squash down so you get a little exercise, and he's got some college stuff to do. I'm gonna go ahead and let you continue forth on your journey towards life, and I'm gonna be here talking to the people. Thank you so much, people. Shout out to Baby D. Shout out to Baby D. Anyway, let's get on back. Here. I appreciate my son for participating all these years in my foolishness and loud talking. Thank you, everybody. But anyway, so back to what I was saying. Let's get back to these videos of these. He's a very well-mannered young man. He's nothing like me. I want you all to know, my children, I should do a broadcast about raising suburban-ass kids that don't know any ghetto language. They don't know anything hood. I should probably, do a broadcast about parents who are hood and their children who are not. I think that would probably be a good broadcast because trying to relate to these people is difficult because, daddy is Generation X, little hood, a lot of hood, kind of ghetto, chop my words up, and he's not at all. So, but we relate, but that's daddy's baby. Well, let's go ahead and get back to the broadcast. Let's take a look at this. Why are black people angry with them? They called us with so much specificity. Okay. But then I remember, listen to this person. You tell me.
The reality also is this. Any
Mm-hmm.
policy that will benefit black people will benefit all society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and
say, I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people. No.
Now, she said, I'm not going to sit here and say, y'all remember Kamala Harris? You remember that, our former vice president? I remember her saying that. And just so you know, I'm not picking on her. I want you to remember this part. Listen to this.
Why not target the African American community? Why not say then, this is for you. This is for African Americans. If there was a banking crisis, then you target money for the banks.
In other words, why not be specific? Somebody type specificity in the chat room.
If there was a national disaster, you target your money for the national for disaster relief.
No specificity when it comes to doing stuff for us. Okay.
That's not how America.
Why not target the African American community? Why not?
You see that? So that's former vice president, former president, both of them black, quote unquote. And somebody said the volume was low. Well, that's a very popular quote. I'm sorry you couldn't hear it clearly. But people have heard Kamala Harris say that she's done her very best to get it removed from the internet, but it's still available for people to see. But what I'm trying to tell y'all is that when it comes to doing stuff specifically for black people, these folks seem to say, oh, that's not something that I can do. Okay. But when it comes to asking for our votes, you see, when it comes to asking for our votes, I hear them calling our names.
We can represent a district that is not majority black.
Absolutely.
Black.
So let's not have a binary conversation about only black people can represent black seats. Because when we do represent a district, the entirety of the district rises. This is a larger issue. This is a larger issue about snatching democracy from the hands of voters across this country. Okay. And continuing to demoralize and marginalize the black vote. So this is a call to action. If you are black, if you love anything that is black, you need to be working to get everybody registered to vote. Because your vote's on the line next.
Freedom and move this nation closer to its ideals.
So that lady said she said black 6 times in 27 seconds. Okay. But then that's when they begging for our votes. Somebody type begging out here. Somebody type begging. But let's keep listening. Maybe that's just, maybe that's a fluke. Maybe there are other, maybe it's just me making it up. I'm not sure. You all would have to let me know. I'm thinking maybe I missed something. Hit the number 1 button.
How do you take it when you hear, especially African Americans, minorities, say that, they feel that President Barack didn't do enough for minorities, didn't do enough for black people?
Black people.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know what? I understand it because when I got elected, there was so much excitement and hope. And I also...
Just like when Trump got elected, his people were excited and hopeful. Matter of fact, you told us the hope. How can you say, Mr. President, how can you say there was so much hope? Remember, keep hope? That was part of your speech. That was your campaign. Somebody typed "Si se puede" in the chat room. Si se puede. You gave us hope. You told us we should be hopeful. Hope was your word. Okay.
Think that we generally view the presidency as almost like a monarchy in the sense of, well, once the president's there, he can just do whatever needs to get done. And if he's not...
Yes, that's what we think. We think he can do whatever he can do. It's the same. I mean, look at Trump.
Not doing it, then it must be because he didn't want to do it.
Well, we see it with Trump, so he does what he wants to do, so people assume.
Well, yeah, he does what he wants to do.
Right, because he breaks laws.
Right. Oh, he breaks the law. That's what it is. You didn't break no laws. You killed some American citizens overseas with some drones, sir, without trial. I'm just saying, there was that whole couple of scandals in there that nobody wants to talk about. So you saying you didn't break no law? Oh, you just wasn't really to break the laws for your major supporters, black people. That's because Trump seems to be able to break these quote unquote laws. Name a president who didn't break a law
or disregards the Constitution. But
yes.
But
I think Obamacare disregarded the Constitution too, sir.
Look,
just respectfully.
I think that anybody who goes into public life they need to understand
They need to understand.
Yeah, you're going to get criticized because that's.
You won't be able to do anything for black people. That was what I did. Trump's different. He went out on the line for his people. I was definitely not going to give up my political capital for you black people because I wanted to have my museum. I wanted to have my Obama presidential library, and I wasn't going to sacrifice all that political capital for you blacks. That's my interpretation, just respectfully. Now, let's go ahead and keep looking at some videos because I think it's important that we just go ahead and listen. Hit the number 1 button.
Has moved on. There is no group of people in America who are owed more than black people.
Glad you know.
And have gotten less.
Thank you.
There's not one group.
Yes,
we've spent the last few years talking about Latinos who have now passed black people as a voting bloc and an economic bloc. Yep. We now talk only about immigrants coming from other countries. Yep. We speak about.
Let me say this. There's a difference between having the potential to vote, i.e. a voting bloc, and being unified to vote for one candidate. I just want to point that out. I'm going to dig into that later. Shout out to L. Jackson. I'm going to read all the super chats later. Let's keep listening.
About Jews and Muslims, frankly, more than American-born black people. Yep. They know.
Shout out to Tim Black.
That the conversation has moved on from them. Mamdani is talking about immigrants.
You know what? We like Thanos. They're trying to move away from us, but all roads come right back to black people. Isn't that something? All roads come right back to black people. Let's keep listening.
And more than black people.
Yeah. I am inevitable.
They know that. They're not stupid. They're well aware that the Democratic Party's kind of moved on a little bit from black people.
Yeah.
They get it.
Uh-huh.
They get it.
Yeah, some of them.
They're going, we pick up what you're putting down. So I think Cuomo to them has name recognition and they understand that this is going in the direction that doesn't include them. The Democrats are building a coalition.
They're doing their best, black people. They are doing their best to leave us. But that's odd because I just heard 15 minutes ago, the lady said black 37 times in 37 seconds. I thought they were moving on from us. What happened? What happened?
It does include black people.
Now they begging. Isn't that something? But let's keep looking at the videos. There's a lot of interesting people with a lot of interesting things to say. Check this out. I found this interesting.
LBJ replaced black fatherhood in 2-parent homes with the welfare system. And the left is so invested in this as a strategy that they are legit saying it out loud.
The decision today in Louisiana versus Callais completes the set because it effectively dismantles the last leg in the Voting Rights Act's protections, which was for redistricting. Whereas previously, the Voting Rights Act had said when a state draws districts in ways that have the effect of diluting the voting power of racial minorities, of effectively making it so racial minorities' votes.
Oh, they were talking about black people, ma'am. And look, I know you all have a lot of people you can listen to, but I purposely try to speak to you all so in a language that you can understand. And this lady is saying the same thing I said for the first, 40 minutes of this broadcast, but it's hard to relate to it. And that's why I come in here day in and day out. And I talk about subjects that sometimes I want to talk about them, sometimes I don't, but I do it because I want you all to be informed. Our people suffer from a lack of knowledge. There've been so many great minds who said that. And largely it has to do with the fact that you don't have anybody who's able to sit and relate. Very rarely will you find someone of my education level and my busy schedule, with all these kids and a wife that will sit up and break this down and talk to you guys. And it's unfortunate, it's unfortunate that we don't have any more of our highly educated people make time to hop on the internet and speak about some of these subjects that are very important because they're going to determine the future and our welfare and our and the infrastructure and all these decisions. So, but anyway, just bear with her for a little bit. I know she's dry as is stale bread, but she's saying the same thing I'm saying, and you guys should be able to pick it up.
Count for less than white voters, and that they can never elect the candidates of their choice.
You mean the candidates of the Democrats' party's choice? See, Democrats need majority black districts because they can't win without it. Why? Look, Democrats have swindled probably trillions of dollars since LBJ and given it specifically to black people in America. Massive welfare benefits.
So, and this is the problem. They didn't give welfare specifically to black people. White people are the number one users of welfare. They're the number one beneficiaries of welfare. So you even have to interpret some of these statements, this passive bigotry and racism, so that people don't walk away thinking white people are the number one beneficiaries of welfare. So when you say they gave millions to black people, then that means they gave billions to white people. But we'll let this gentleman continue.
To buy votes, destroyed the black family structure to an extent that the black and out of wedlock birth rate went from 22% pre-LBJ, pre-civil rights, to 70% today. Look, I realize this is uncomfortable for some people. We're probably going to get a write-up from some liberal.
Basically, they incentivize black women to break up the family. Hey, baby, we're going to give you, Uncle Sam is going to give you a house to stay in, a few dollars on the check. So you don't have to take, Larry's bullshit anymore. You can come over here and live in these project housing. Now, you can't have them come back at all. We'll give you a few dollars. And that was just a trap. You trade, you think you're becoming independent, but in reality, you're becoming dependent. Okay, that's actually what happened. Whereas if you force people to survive, you force people to work out their issues because you want to eat, then we need to have a conversation. You want to leave? Where you gonna go? You gonna take the kids? Where you gonna take them to? She can take them to the projects and get a welfare check and food stamps and all these set asides. Then there's an incentive to break the family up, and they incentivize the breakup of the family. That's what this gentleman is saying. Let's keep listening.
Brag, but go look up LBJ and the quotes of how he thought about controlling the.
And when I say they, I'm talking about the Democrat Party in that regard.
Black, but you can't even put that stuff on TV, folks. But the product of all those policies that, as you can see here, all these studies show that a foster household leads to higher crime in children, specifically gun homicides. And in the same districts that, ironically, Democrats want to redistrict into their caucus as they campaign.
I don't know what happened to this screen.
Crime in children, specifically gun homicides. And in the same districts that, ironically, Democrats want to redistrict into their caucus as they campaign against the criminal justice system, like we saw with nearly every single Democrat kneeling to the Black Lives Matter movement and opposing police, defund the police movement. Remember that?
I mean, look, again, you got to understand this is his chance to take a shot at the Democrats and try to throw a dividing line between, just basically he's sticking it to the Democrats and throwing shots at black people at the same time. But just continue listening to the information.
It resulted in the black population having higher crime stats that lined up with the Democrat congressional district.
So you're saying if you make black people poor and give them a few crumbs to live on from the government teat, right, then they'll end up being poor and they'll commit more crime. Yeah, we kind of knew that. Okay, we kind of get that. Now, the truth is crime stats are down, generally speaking, and black incarceration is down, generally speaking. It's definitely down since 2006, and it's actually at its all-time low. But you would know from listening to this guy.
Just overturned. Democrats are literally engineering the destruction of the black community and campaigning on themselves as the only solution to make themselves more dependent on the very system that's victimizing them. I mean, this is horrifically racist strategy, but it's electorally.
The system that's victimizing us is the white supremacy racism system that's been here for hundreds of years, sir. It's not because they're giving a few dollars over the past 60 years, some welfare checks to black women. That's not what it's doing. It's poverty. It's more systematic than that, because there's a lot of white people who are on welfare and they don't have the issues that we have. So it's some systematic stuff going on. But I'm gonna let you finish, sir. Look like you've been working out at the LA Fitness, feeling yourself. Go ahead.
Effective for the Democrats, but it's made the black community heavily dependent on the government and oppose Republican policies to enforce law.
I'm sorry, I can't take this guy no more. What about the white community that's heavily dependent on the government? Have you not met Matthew and Methany in Trailer Parkville, Appalachia? Do you not know how many, like 80% of those people in some of those counties on welfare? Sir, let's talk about your own issues. I want you to talk about the methamphetamine addiction that white folk are having right now. Why are you bringing up black people? You think this is going to affect black people like that? I'm just saying. I'm gonna let him. I can't let him finish. Let's just move on to the next video. I don't want to lose the few white subscribers that I have. Okay, I know he meant well, but it didn't come off the way. Now this cat right here, I actually kind of like what he says. Y'all hear number one, but
black voters.
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
the SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that.
So he keep asking, how is it going to disenfranchise black voters? How is it going to how is the Supreme Court ruling going to disenfranchise black voters? Now, I'm going to tell you something. You learn more than this young woman knows right now. She's on TV. You learn more in the first 45 minutes of this broadcast than she knows. She can't answer how it's going to disenfranchise black voters because she doesn't know. You understand what I'm saying? Because again, remember what I told you. The Supreme Court ruling, it doesn't strip the law out of the books. It just simply says it doesn't reinstitute poll tax. It doesn't reinstitute a literacy test. It does not say you can't vote because of the color of your skin. It doesn't say any of that. It simply says that there's no oversight when it comes to redistricting, and that redistricting and carving out just the black congressional district is against the Constitution. It's racial gerrymandering. That's all it is. Now that's all she had to say. Well, how's it affecting the black voters? They're gonna they're gonna crack, somebody type crack. They're gonna crack the congressional districts, and so now you're gonna have no black people being represented. That's all she had to say. And so this is the problem with just throwing anybody up there because they went to Harvard or Yale or something like that, especially people who don't actually live this or know this. These are not Selma, Alabama black people. Okay, a lot of these black people are black people who came here from another country, you see, and they are not really fully invested. They don't have the history. They don't know. They can't even tell you what the civil rights movement was really about. Anytime you hear a black person tell you that the civil rights movement was about black people wanting to sit next to white people at a damn diner in some restaurant somewhere, that tells you that they don't have parents and relatives that raise them and talk to them and explain to them what things were really about. It might be something as simple as, yeah, man, we had the basketball team, the best basketball team in the city, but the white school up the block, down the street, they had all the facilities. And we paying more taxes than they did. Oh, that's what it was about. Yeah. So they don't know our history. And this is the problem when you have these Ivy League schools trying to teach non-foundational black Americans, teaching African American studies in these white Ivy League schools. All of them are clueless. Your parents just got here from Ghana, and your mama is from Zimbabwe, and your daddy is from, your granddaddy is from Guyana. You have no idea about foundational black American history because you don't have the roots necessary to even understand what you're looking for. You see, and this is one of those situations right here. Let's go ahead and let her finish talking.
That have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0. So this is the same president. If we want to continue. You haven't said how yet. I am talking about it.
She didn't say how. And what's this guy, Scott? You didn't say how. You didn't say how. How? He's from Kentucky. You didn't say how.
It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making.
You're not putting poll taxes. Now he like, are you See, you're embarrassing us, ma'am.
People have, that's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people.
That's word. Somebody type word salad in the chat room. Scott, the way it's disenfranchising black voters is now the states, as you know, the states are in charge of the districts, the size, the locations, and the boundaries. So now what they can do is they can chop the black neighborhoods up, black communities up. Part of it goes this way, part of it goes that way. They get caught up in the wash. Now you got the surrounding white suburbs with a small 22% of black people involved in it. They're not going to even have any representation. You know what the hell is going on, Scott. You know that, and I know that. They're going to crack the brown, they're going to crack up the black district. That's all she had to say. It took 15 seconds. But she doesn't know. And so this is the problem. This is why I have to get myself on this internet and tell you these things, because some of you all may not know because y'all are babies. You didn't grow up with the grandmothers and uncles that I grew up with that passed away back in the 80s and 90s. So you don't know what this is about. This is your first time. You didn't even know what the voting right was. Hell, most of y'all didn't even vote. You know what I'm saying? You get that little card in the mail. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Right? And you throw it in the trash. Let's keep going.
Have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID.
No, they don't.
The reality is
that is not what that voting act was. That's not what the Supreme Court said, ma'am. That's not. You out here, you're not making a good showing.
Layering what is a constitutional right for the American.
You are not singing an old school Al Green song. Open your eyes and talk to that man. That's what you do. Okay?
People and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise black voters.
It's not going to be harder to vote, baby. They're going to be able to vote just like they've been voting. It's not going to be harder to vote. They didn't stop you from voting. Nobody's going to stand outside the voting booth down there near the post office and hit you with the bat in the back of your kneecaps when you're trying to vote. It's not going to be harder to vote. It doesn't matter if you vote, because you're going to vote, and if every 20 votes you got, 100 white folk are going to vote. That's what he's saying. You looking bad. Do better. Do better. Damn it.
Concern you that you're making all these claims? You've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but
let me try. Does it concern you that you don't know what the hell you're talking about? Does that concern you? You're on national TV? I mean, this is, the internet's forever. You know that? That's what he's saying. I'm gonna be this white anger interpreter from him. Go ahead. Look how he's looking at her like she got like a big ass mole on the top of her nose like that. Look how he's looking at it.
76% of black voters think we should show an ID to vote. 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that black voters are too dumb to know what's good?
Fix your face. Fix your face, girl. Don't have your face all squunched up like that. You don't know what you're talking about. You out there representing us and you not doing a good job. I could get on there with my country stand self and have a conversation. Goddamn, Scott, you know goddamn well what the problem is. They're going to take these little black islands of justice and love and representation. They're going to chop them up into, all of them going to be scattered about. That's what the hell's going to happen, Scott. You know that. You know damn well what I'm talking about. And Scott said, well, you all right. But we're not going to stop them from voting. Yeah, but it don't matter if they're voting, Scott. It don't matter if they're voting. It's like goddamn pissing in the ocean, Scott. It won't count. You have to use that sort of stuff. Scott with that, he got that white boy part in his head. He'll know
for them. I mean,
it sounds pretty condescending
to me.
That's not
you get 3/4 of black voters who want voter ID.
But to be clear, the SAVE Act is not just about ideas. The SAVE Act is about.
So what? Stop trying to defend her. That was a dumbass answer she gave. She didn't read the pamphlet. Okay, she didn't know. She started talking about, she started quoting stuff from the 8th grade that she heard during Black History Month. That's what she was not ready. Somebody type not ready.
So what?
So it doesn't. I actually.
It also makes it very hard for married women who.
I was just going to say. We talked about this before. It's not. It actually. There's an argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as.
I know you think they're dumb too, don't you? I mean, that's the thing. I hear these arguments. I've heard Democrats all week long.
This white boy say any goddamn thing to come to his mind. You think they're dumb, dude? You can't say that, Scott. That's racialism. Scott, you cannot say stuff like that on the internet. You can't say that on CNN, Scott. You can't call. You think they're down. You think you are not out by the oak tree talking to your grandpa and your uncle, okay, about the goddamn mule. Okay, you can't talk to people like that. I know you went to Kentucky State. All right, I get goddamn where you're coming from, but you can't just talk to people like that. They're sensitive, Scott. You can't goddamn do it, damn it, darn it. I mean, damn, Scott, they're gonna think we're all racist. We saw your ass on TV talking to all those black people. Okay, you can't talk to people like that. We got to live around here. Okay, what are we gonna do at the country fair when they see you and see us and think we're gonna be some racist shit like you? We've come a long way to try to get along in this county, Scott. If you want a career here, okay, you want a goddamn career here, you want to make our life hard. Well, goddamn it, you got to watch what you say on the goddamn glue tube, Scott. Shit, now, fire.
No, please don't. No, you listen.
There's the deflection from talking about Donald Trump's racism.
I'm actually
right there.
You should be thinking about your constituents or your.
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to figure out how to register to vote. Abby.
Hold on. Most Americans don't have a passport. Many Americans don't have access to their birth certificate. Many women, a majority of women who change their names for marriage have to provide additional proof.
What in the hell's this got to goddamn do with the goddamn redistricting, man? I'm just goddamn saying. I mean, Scott, I understand where you're coming from now. I mean, these are some smug Negroes. That's your problem. I know what's going on with Scott. Scott, this is what Scott's thinking right now. He can't goddamn say what he wants to say. But
that they've changed their legal names in order to register to vote.
I have heard Democrats make these same arguments.
Why don't you actually respond to the substance of what I'm saying?
I am. And
they're not saying anything. You ain't saying nothing, baby. You're speaking well. You're very pretty. You're very pretty. You got good words. Very articulate. But you all can just not answer the goddamn question. Just answer the question. How is this affecting black people? There's about 700 people in this broadcast that can tell you right now how it's affecting black people for my 45-minute ramble. Then you can. And you all are supposed to be representing us. This is poor representation. Horrible. Let's keep listening.
To making this about something that it's not.
You're saying,
it's not just about
saying married
it's
women,
also about
black
who has
voters,
access
and rural people are too stupid to figure out how to register to vote.
That is not what
You're saying married women, blacks, and poor people are too goddamn stupid to vote. That's what you're goddamn saying. They don't know their goddamn names. That's what you're telling me. Yeah, you doing too much. Scott is a wild one, boy. Boy, he is wild one. Yeah, well, you know, they didn't know what they were talking about. He just called them out on it. And he won that argument because nobody's going to side with stupid. But anyway, that's why we're here. Again, our people suffer from a lack of knowledge, and those folk clearly have a lack of knowledge. Let's keep on listening to these broadcasts. Y'all, let me know if you're enjoying this broadcast. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now, let's take a look at this one. Y'all hit the subscribe button, please, if you're enjoying yourself.
This is essentially the problem, and the Republicans
what have we done to the immigrants? We owe black people something. We have a legacy of slavery. Immigrants haven't even been in this country. That's why the Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the Hispanics, because they're larger group.
Now, play this because I want you to hear that plot. The Democrats are dropping the blacks and moving on to the immigrants. They're dropping the blacks and moving on to the immigrants. This is, you know who. Okay, let's keep listening. Ann Coulter, she said they're dropping the blacks. She said this years ago. They saw this coming years ago. All right. And now you see it happen. They think they can just replace the black population with the immigrants. That's what they think. They think they can do the same, run the same game plan. And I don't think it's working. Shout out to Few Quain.
Larger group of Hispanics now, but the reason people are concerned about the words they use, the reason Americans care about civil rights, the reason we are sensitive to racism is for one issue and one issue only, and that is how black Americans were treated in this country. It is because of the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. Those do not compare. Irish, the new groups, they always get a little better.
The reason we have voting rights in the first place is because of black people, and these other people who are now in charge lost it.
bad treatment. Do not compare that to how blacks are treated in this country. You don't get to piggyback on the black experience in America. You do not get to do that just because you are a woman, an immigrant, gay.
Now, if I close my eyes, that she sounds like she's more pro-black than some of these so-called black conservatives on the internet. I mean, I just want you to think about the irony of fact that this woman, Ann Coulter, who we know, I don't, I'm not, she's not invited to the cookout. But if you listen to her and you contrast her and what she just said with some of these so-called black conservatives on the internet, who in my opinion largely are full of shit, okay? Because I tell folk all the time, vote your interest. Whether you vote Republican or Democrat, you don't have to be a sycophant. But the bottom line is what she just said is more radical than some of this stuff these so-called black folk who are not as far right as she is would say. I'm just thinking of it. At least she's being honest, and that lets you know they're being dishonest or they're just ignorant and they're just pandering to that far right vote. And I'm glad the white folk all the white folk on the far right, I'm glad you all are getting rid of these quote unquote black conservative mouthpieces that you all have been listening to. I'm glad you're doing your own job now. I'm glad you're speaking out your own, speaking on your own issues instead of having these black folk that are being disingenuous, just trying to get clicks and likes and saying all this crazy pandering.
Hispanic. No, the rest of you can go F yourselves.
Oh, damn. So that's Ann Coulter. So I think we pretty much established the fact that the Voting Rights Act was established for black people. Now, here's the thing. I'm still not finished with Obama because, again, they called our name with specificity. Okay, let me run this back to you. They called our name with specificity. I want you to hear how many times this woman says black.
That is not majority black. So let's not have a binary conversation about only black people can represent black seats. Because when we do represent a district, the entirety of the district rises. This is a larger issue. This is a larger issue about snatching democracy from the hands of voters across this country. And continue.
So again, we've heard that clip multiple times. So this is Barack Obama. And let me lay some context. Barack Obama started off in Illinois. He ran for senator. He ran against this man named Alan Keyes. Now, back in the day, black conservatives, black Republicans, they were considered the worst people on the planet. But I want you to listen to this broadcast, okay, from I think it's 2006. And I want you to tell me now I want you to understand something. They hated this black man. He was a sellout, okay? That's as far as any Republicans a sellout. I want you to hear what he's saying 20 years ago. And I want you to let me know if the black people listening to this broadcast today agree with what this man was saying 20 years ago when we considered him a sellout. Listen to what he has to say, okay? This is gonna go right up there with Tavis Smiley and when he had some issues with Barack Obama. Listen now.
Threatens to say that you and Mr. Obama are of the same race, but not from the same heritage. Do you feel you are more personally in touch with African Americans than he, because you are a descendant of slaves?
I simply observed a fact. I didn't make any conclusions from that fact. I wouldn't do so. And I thought it was rather strange in the last debate that we had that when I talked about the effect of my heritage on my outlook, for instance, in dealing with the issue.
My heritage on my outlook. In other words, I'm foundational black American. I can trace my roots to the slave system or chattel slavery here in North America. This man, Barack Obama, his mama's white, his daddy's from Kenya. Yeah, we might both be considered race, the same race, i.e. black, but we're not the same. He is, in effect, he's a tether. That's basically what he's saying. He's not like me. He has a different perspective. He's pretending to be black. And again, let me reemphasize, not all black immigrants are tethers, but Barack Obama and many of these other politicians, they fake black out there dancing, singing jazz and playing jazz and playing basketball like they one of us. And the reality is, they don't have the same perspective. Okay, you join a black church, you marry a black woman, you still don't have the same perspective. And that's what Alan Keyes was saying. And we didn't like this man for saying this. We call this disunity. Okay, and so listen to him with your delineation minds, knowing what you know now,
issue of abortion. One of the reasons I'm so intensely interested is because there's a disproportionate impact of abortion on the black community that threatens to reduce the numbers of black people in a way that would be quite demographically drastic over the course of the 21st century. I did misspeak a little last time because I had said that more black babies are being aborted than are being born. In fact, I think the ratio is 55% live births, 45% abortion. But, you know, that's still pretty bad. And it leads to a situation over time that's going to be awful for the black community. So I think that it has an effect on one's outlook because you look back to a heritage where things like the Declaration of Independence were critically important to making progress in the battle against slavery and in the battle for civil rights. The thought that we would discard it, that we would, for the sake of, I don't know, sexual license and other things, be talking about the world as if the Declaration didn't apply to our babies in the womb, strikes me as a devastating loss because I know how important it was to the progress of justice in the course of our history. So that's simply a matter of how that heritage influences what I have focused on in life, what I consider to be terribly critically and important questions of justice, how I look at the present situation in terms of the plight of the black community. I do look at the larger picture sometimes because I think it's well and good that we concentrate on helping people get jobs and education and do the.
So that's Alan Keyes, and I'm going to break down and I want to put some historical context on what he just said. Basically, this man said, look, this guy here, he under the auspices of being pro women's rights, he's also pro baby deletions. That's what he just said. Okay. So he's pro women having baby deletions. I don't see that as helpful for the black community because traditionally we understand that whole baby deletion movement was designed to try to eliminate the population of black people. Eugenics is what they called it. That's why most of these baby deletion clinics are in poor black neighborhoods. I want you to keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to share something with you all that I'm aware of. Many folk may or may not be aware of. But again, I'm an advocate for black men, okay? And so for years, being an advocate means I talk about my side. I don't talk about the other people's side. And as an advocate for black men, I want to point out the good and whatnot of black men. Now, I'm going to share something with you all that I'm aware of, and maybe you know. The birth rate amongst black Americans, Foundation of Black Americans, is 1.3. All right, you need at least 2.1 to have replacement level population plus begin to add people. Now, we all know that anywhere from 60 to 67% of children in America born to black women are born out of wedlock. So that means only about 33% of black children are born to black women who are married. So let's say hypothetically we stop allowing or black women all of a sudden stop having children if they're not married. What does that do to the black population? So if single mothers stop having children in the black community, what if that happened 15 years ago? What happens to black children in the black community? If we're already at 1.3% birth rate, or 1.3 birth rate, and 67% of the children are born to single mothers, what happens if only married black women are having children? What happens is instead of having 2.1, which is replacement level, or 1.3, which is what we have now, we go down to 0.4. Okay, that means you don't even have enough people to. We are people who are eliminated in the next 20 or 30 years. That's what happens. That's what's happening to the population. So I know, it's going to be an uproar. But if the single black mothers stop having children, we disappear within a generation or two. We're out of here. Our numbers falter and fold up. So the same people that we complain about having children, do you think having women having children out of wedlock is a problem, or black women having no children at all? What's going to happen when you get surrounded by Hispanics and Africans and Caribbeans who have no ties to your heritage or your culture at all? What do you think happens to you in 20 years? Either you fall in or you get beat down. So I think the responsible thing to do, family, for all of you all who are educated and all of you know, because remember, single mothers are the worst thing on the planet, right? It's the worst thing that ever happened to the Black community. If they stop having children, then we disappear because we're not getting married. I'm just saying, think about it. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just telling you, think about it. Now, this gentleman is also saying baby deletions is horrible too. And if you all know, in places like he just mentioned, in I think it was said there are almost as many babies deleted as are born live here in the United States. He said that's not good for the Black community either. This Barack Obama guy, he's not even from my community. He can get up here and say, yeah, he's pro-abortion all he wants to, because he don't give a damn. His people are from Kenya and white people. He don't give a damn about us like that. But to me, as a Black man, knowing that there's no foundational Black Americana somewhere. There's no country where our people are being born and reborn and the culture is being revitalized. It's just us right here in this small little corner of the world called the United States, and we are actually cordoned off in the lower east part of the country. That's where the vast majority of us live. If we disappear, we're gone forever. So I just want y'all to contemplate that. You know, and the other thing is, you see this man, Alan Keyes, we hated him back in the day. So I invite you all to begin to relook at some of the so-called Black conservatives from back in the day, because a lot of them had some things to say, and we just weren't ready to look at it. We instead dismissed what they had to say, and we called them sellouts, and we called them house Negroes. But the reality was they were seeing the world from a lens that was more accurate, and they weren't under the guise of the
By the way, have no idea about the racist history of the Democratic Party. I didn't know when I was in high school that the Democrats founded the Klan. I didn't know when I was in high school that Democrats voted against the 13th Amendment that freed the slaves, the 14th Amendment that gave slaves citizenship, the 15th Amendment that, at least on paper, gave slaves the right to vote. Democrats voted against all of that stuff. I didn't know when I was in high school that more Republicans as a percentage of the party voted for the Civil Rights Act of 1964 than did Democrats. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Everett Dirksen, a Republican in Illinois, got an award from the NAACP for...
How many of you all knew about the racist history of the Democrat Party? I'm just asking. How many knew about that?
Or how he helped to shepherd the Civil Rights Bill through Congress. I didn't know that Al Gore's father participated in what was then the longest filibuster to prevent the bill from ever becoming on the floor. I also bought into that notion that, okay, Democrats used to be racist, but then Republicans switched places with them in the 60s. I bought into that until I found out that of all the Democrats that voted against the Civil Rights Act in the House, of all the Democrats who voted...
Now, for you all who don't know, this is Larry Elder. Back in a few generations ago, he was considered a sellout too. He was a house nigga. So I'm not saying that, you know, you shouldn't change your opinion. I'm just saying listen to these old school conservatives with new ears. That's all I'm saying. Let's listen to these old cats from way back in the day, and let's hear what they have to say now and see if maybe they were right. I'm not saying they were. I'm just saying let's listen. Shout out to new member.
Voted against the Civil Rights Act in the Senate. Only 2 switched to the Republican Party, one of whom was Strom Thurmond. George Wallace, who stood in front of the school door as a Democratic governor saying segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. He died a Democrat. Robert Byrd, who was a Kliegel, that means a recruiter for the Klan, he died a Democrat at 100 years old in the Senate. Most of these guys never switched parties. It is a lie. The reason the South became more and more Republican is because the Democratic Party became more and more left-wing, became anti-Vietnam, anti-war, pro-abortion, and the South became increasingly uncomfortable with their allegiance to the Democratic Party, especially since Jim Crow had fallen. If Jim Crow has fallen, why are we in bed with these Democrats? What's the point? And so the South became more and more Republican for a reason that had nothing to do with racism, but that was the line that was fed by so many people, and so many blacks to this day believe that.
I don't know if he's right or wrong. All right. I'm just saying I'm at the point now I'm willing to listen to what some of these people and that you know had some views that I naturally disagreed with, because I'm like, oh, that's a sellout. Not necessarily because maybe I didn't see what they saw. That's all I'm saying. Somebody said my sound is like an official. Is the sound still bad? Are you guys serious? I don't understand. I've been messing with this sound. Let me double check again. Are y'all messing with me? Let me see here. My sound should be good. The sound should be good. I don't get the issue. You guys saying the sound maybe? Okay, hold on a minute. Maybe I think I have an understanding of what's going on. Let me double check something real quick. Well, it should be. So somebody's saying the sound. Some of y'all saying the sound is good. Some saying bad. But either way, we're going to keep it pushing. So that was Larry Elder. Another person that is being looked at again, okay? And I want you all to understand something. Barack Obama was like Black Jesus, okay? Barack Obama was Black Jesus. He could do no harm. I remember about the second year of his first term, I began to say, this man is not going to do anything.
By the way, have no idea about the race.
This man is not going to, I'm thinking about, man, this man, if he was going to do something, he did it. You see how Trump jumped in there and got busy off rip? Remember that? Trump jumped right in. This is Barack Obama at his height. Listen to some of the things. I want you to listen to some of the things that Barack Obama said back then that we let him get away with. I want you all to hear that. This is Barack Obama as president of the United States. I want you to pretend when you hear him say it, I want you to pretend Trump said this. So you let me know. I want you to close your eyes, okay? And I want you to squint for you all, okay? And listen to this man and tell me if what he said doesn't sound Trump-esque.
As a Black president, but that's the way you're described. Your mother was white. Mm-hmm. Why would it be helpful, or why don't you say, I'm not a Black president, I'm biracial?
Well, you know, when I was young and going through the identity crises that any teenager goes through, I wrote a whole book about this.
Yes.
Part of what I realized was that if the world saw me as African American, then that wasn't something that I needed to run away from. That's something that I could go ahead and embrace. And the interesting thing about the African American experience in this country is that we are sort of a mongrel people. Mm-hmm.
Sit with that for a minute. Somebody type mongrel people in the chat room. Just let that marinate for a minute. This is the president of the United States on national TV saying that African Americans, what he means is foundational Black Americans, are a mongrel people. Sit with that. Now, let's flip the script. Let's say one of these white dudes that I had on the video earlier said African Americans are a mongrel people. How would that hit you? What if one of the Africans that we see on the broadcast say something like African Americans are a mongrel people? That's what your president said. That's what he said. A sitting president said it. What if Donald Trump said African Americans are mongrel people? He got up there with a little, African Americans are mongrel people. What if he said that? And nobody said anything about it. Nobody said anything. You understand what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna let him finish because I want y'all to understand that he quickly realizes he made a mistake by saying that, but this is his truest thoughts, okay? Listen to what he says next to try to clean it up, okay?
I mean, we're all kind of mixed up. Yeah. And now, that's actually true.
And white people don't think they're mixed up. They think they're white, okay? You just said African Americans are mongrel people, and then you try to clear it up and say, oh, well, all of us are like that. You didn't say all of us are mongrel people. You just said African Americans are mongrel people, and then you said all of us are like that. I just want you all to sit with that.
True for white America as well, but we just know more.
No, white people are white, sir. White people are white. They are white. They came over here, and whether you are Irish or Scottish, you're white. Now he's studying for his words, trying to clean it up. We let this man get away with so much stuff, so much disrespect. All right, so much disrespect, so much benign neglect. But you know, the old school brothers they peeped it out a long time ago. Okay, when I say old school, somebody type Dr. Claude Anderson in the chat room.
But Barack Obama.
What did you think of Barack Obama being president?
But Barack Obama is a joke. Barack Obama didn't do a darn thing for black folk. As a matter of fact, he hurt black folk in two ways. First of all, he had 8 years to do something for black folk, but he carefully and judiciously involved and judiciously avoided doing anything for black folk. And most of my white friends told me in politics, and I was always with president governors, they say, hell, we would never have voted for Obama. We know he's going to do something for black folk. We knew he would never do anything for black folk. And so, but that's the first thing. He never did anything for black folk. But he used that old thing that they did back in Philadelphia in 1789. He used very broad, ambiguous terms. I'm the president of all the people.
Yeah. They like to say a rising tide lifts all boats.
That's a stupid thing.
Yeah, because black people boat got a hold of it.
Yeah.
That's right. It's in the bottom of the damn rate.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, some of them old school fellas, like if you listen to Jesse Jackson, he said he wanted to take Barack Obama's, you know, manhood off with, you know, that's what he said. I didn't say it. That's what Jesse Jackson said in that famous quote. We were mad at Jesse Jackson for saying, how dare you say this is our first president? So, you know, a lot of black, and again, Barack Obama could have done something specific for black people. In fact, he did do things specific for other people. Okay, he did do it.
Why not target the African American community? Why not say then, this is for you? This is for African Americans. If there was a banking crisis, then you target money for the banks. If there was a national disaster, you target your money for the national for disaster relief.
That's not how America works.
No.
We want to give those young people and young Native Americans like them the support they deserve. We have to invest in them and believe in them and love them.
Africa.
That sounds pretty damn specific to me. So you can do specific things for Native Americans, but you can call them by name, but you can't do specific things for black Americans. You see what I'm saying, family? This is a representation of the Democratic Party.
American leaders have been critical of late. And it's true, you've said you're the president for all people, not just for one group. If I'm a 16-year-old kid on the south side of Chicago, okay, my dad's gone, my mom's working 10 hours a day for peanuts, all I see around me is blight, there are no help wanted signs, and you won't even say, look, I'm going to help you.
He looking at him like, man, why you asking me this goddamn question? You know, goddamn well I told you not to ask me this question. He looked like he done. And this is why he's a sitting president. Wouldn't even say what he would do for black people. Just sat up there and said, I'm going to do this for Indians, Native Americans. So this is our first black president, Democrat, okay? Thank you, Black Abdullah, appreciate you. Let's keep listening.
To a young African American, how do I feel?
Emmett, that's not, first of all, that's not what people are saying.
That is what they were saying. That's what they were saying. They were saying it loud and clear. They're saying it much louder now.
People are saying all across the country is, we're hurting and we've been hurting for a long time. And the question is, how can we make sure that the economy is working for every single person? And you know, the truth of the matter is the vast majority of
we want to know what you can do for black people. That's what we wanted to know. That's what we want the Democrats to tell us. And that's the question that we're re-urging now. They keep calling our names with specificity to ask us to come vote for them. Let me let y'all hear this woman again, just in case you missed. Now that they got the jobs and their kickbacks are gonna go away because the Supreme Court, it says, nah, we're gonna put you guys out of a job. Now they calling our name. Listen to that.
We can represent a district that is not majority black.
Absolutely.
Black.
So let's not have a binary conversation about only black people can represent black seats. Because when we do represent a district, the entirety of the district rises. This is a larger issue. This is a larger issue about snatching democracy from the hands of voters across this country and continuing to demoralize and marginalize the black vote. So this is a call to action. If you are black, if you love anything that is black, you need to be working to get everybody registered to vote. Because your vote's on the line next.
Freedom and move.
You understand what I'm saying?
Anyone who believes.
She said black 5 times, and then we got that's on. Now you begging, you calling our name with specificity. I did not hear Latino vote, coalition, people of color. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear. You don't think that the people of color that you all have been, you don't think that those same people voted for you too? But you're not calling their name. You're just calling black Americans' name. See, when you need some help, right? You want to go down to your bottom bitch and think we gonna come running, okay? And we somewhere with our feet up, chilling out, sipping Moet. You understand? With orange juice in it. We're not coming. We arresting. That's what you did. You played us. We went along with it, and now here you are complaining about why we should be afraid, and we're just not. You understand what I'm saying? We are just not. It's not worth it. We realize no matter what Democrat, black, or whatever gets in the office, all you guys are gonna do is just ignore us. You're gonna take up everybody else's calls but our own. Black people have realized that, and we know
leaving the Democratic Party. Now that you see black people calling out the Democratic Party. Now that you see black people tired of living in the same conditions that they were in when the bill was signed. They no longer have that loyal voting base. So you know what they're doing now? Now they're opening the borders. They're letting these migrants in. They're giving them
because they want to replace black people because you become too difficult to deal with. You're not manageable anymore. Okay, that's the problem. And I'm not saying vote for the Republicans. All I tell y'all is vote your interest. Let me run this back again to you. If you are a school teacher and you are pro-union and you need the union to keep your job, you should vote Democrat. That's probably within your interest. If you are a small business owner and you want low taxes and you want very little regulation, you probably need to vote Republican. If you feel inclined that you don't like either one of the parties, you're not cool with anything, any of the policies, not any interest, you sit on the couch. Don't vote at all. Vote your interest. That's the only thing I say here. But what I'm not going to do is sit up here and allow black people not to clearly see what's going on. They're trying to play us again. And the question is, what are you going to do for us? Stop just sitting around asking us to vote for you because you're black. Vote blue no matter who. No. That is disrespectful to black people. It's disrespectful to our intelligence. You've been playing us this long, and at some point, making all these promises is just going to make black people angry with you. All right, so we're going to let this McKellar Montgomery.
these welcome packages full of food stamps, housing assistance, whatever else that housing and clothing and whatever else it is maybe that they need in order to come over here and live comfortably. Why? Because now when you have these illegal migrants coming over here and it's clear that the Republicans are like, no, get them out. Now you have a new loyal voting base who's like, oh God, if we don't vote for the Democrats.
And the immigrants are not going to be loyal to you. The immigrants are not going to be, I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Those immigrants are not loyal to the Democrat Party. They'll take your money and vote Republican. Did you not know? I'm sorry. Did y'all not? Maybe y'all missed this whole thing last year. Maybe you missed this part.
Vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump.
Yeah! These people voted for the man who said he was going to deport him because they wanted to be white. That's her homeboy. Look, that's Trump standing right behind her. She voted for the excited. I will vote. You know the song. Do I need to play the song? Let me go ahead and play the song. Y'all must have missed it. Let me play it again. Okay? The coalition. Yeah. These are the people you let in the country to replace black people. Did it work? Did it work out? Because it looked to me like 45 is now 45, 47. He might be 48. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. I just want you to keep that in mind. That's who you hired. That's who y'all thought was going to replace us. And it did not work, did it? It failed miserably. And I just want you to know that black people are like Thanos when it comes to politics. We are inevitable. You are going to have to come back through us, whether you like it or not. You might as well go ahead and give us our tangibles right now. Give them what they want.
Black
give them what
Democrat politician. This is the policy enforcer. They're the ones that are responsible for passing the laws that keep your taxes high. The black Democrat politician is shielded from accountability. But these are the ones that raise your taxes, destroy your schools, flood neighborhoods with crime, and then refuse to prosecute the crime. They suffocate black leadership. It's just stagnation everywhere you go. But
if you are a black person and if you're a black person and these people even think you thinking about either not voting or voting for Democrats, you are all kind of names. You see what I'm saying? You're all kind of horrible names. It's hard to even, you can't You can't speak. You're not invited to the cookout. You might be your house. You can't come to the cookout. This is how brainwashed that they have black people. But what if it's not in your interest to vote for a Democratic person and I'm not, I vote mixed ticket. I vote some Democrats here, some Republicans here, some Green Party. Some people I just can't stomach to vote for them. Understand? But the bottom line is, it's not our job to put these people in office. It's our job to vote our interests.
So when people ask why is the Democrat Party losing a lot of black American support, here's why. Y'all check this shit out.
They're coming for you. And if anybody else in this race that can go have a conversation with Donald Trump and have a conversation with Marco Rubio, then show them to me. You need me more than you ever needed me in life. And I ain't new to supporting Haitians.
And, you know, somebody said, pop that baby, pump that baby, but this is him. This is Uncle Luke. This is Two Live Crew, booty shaking music. Now this man is running. This man is running. Anybody can do it. Golly,
ain't a Haitian person, and I ain't new to supporting Haitians. Ain't a Haitian person in this race that has did more for Haitian peoples than me.
So apparently Luke is running for office in Miami, and he's running against Haitians. And they're like, no, you're not Haitian. You're not one of us, I guess. And now he's trying to say, but I am. I've done a lot for Haitians. I've helped him out. Step I say, I've made the music. I put y'all on stage. I let you shake your booty. And this brother right here, he's down in Florida, and I know he's an FBA brother. Let's listen to him.
Now, my only question is, what the fuck does helping Haitians got to do with black Americans? How's that our problem? Now, this is not an attack on Haitian people. This is exposing how the Democratic Party has completely abandoned the black American agenda and replaced it with immigration policies.
Yeah. Speaking of Haitians and immigrants, I think you all may know this gentleman. He needs no introduction, but he's been known across the political spectrum as a devout follower of the Democrat Party. Now, he happens to be my frat brother, and like Chris Darden, I got to claim him. You all who don't know Chris Darden, that was the man who tried to prosecute OJ with Martha Clark and lost. Chris Darden is our brother. Chris Darden is our frat brother, and so is Roland Martin. Brothers, all our brothers, we got to claim him too. But at this particular point, I want to listen to what he has to say, and I'm gonna give him a fair critique. You all, let's listen to what Brother Roland Martin has to say. Praise God.
In 1890, and they said we cannot let these niggas keep.
Sir, watch the language, Fred. You got to watch it. You just throwing the N out there like that.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts, he doesn't use that language, but it's essentially what they did when they gutted Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. They taxed on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
Brother, you got to watch your language now. You can't be out here saying the N-word like that, brother. Come on now. Don't do that to us.
You understand right now, you have at least 4 Supreme Court justices who would love to completely get rid of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And why this is important is because the 1964 Civil Rights
passionately, man. That brother feeling it, man. That brother speaking passionate. You hear him feeling that? Man, look at him with the little tracksuit on. Go ahead, a little workout suit.
Act is the enforcement mechanism that has led to all of these changes for Black America since that period. So what they understand, if we assault the 1964 Civil Rights Act and get rid of that, and then we completely get rid of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, what we have effectively done is gutted Black leadership and African Americans from being.
Brother, you never seen a little Tyrannosaurus Rex with his little arms sticking out like that? Don't do that. You should use one hand at a time when you're speaking, brother. Just use one hand. All that hand movement is distracting, just so you know, brother. Keep going.
Being able to take advantage of what happens in this country. So while a lot of y'all are bullshitting around on whether you can be on fucking TikTok.
Sir, watch your language, brother. Your language, brother. Why your language like that? You gonna pop a blood vessel screaming at the internet like that. You can't do that every time. Don't do that, brother. You bowled up too. Look at, is that a hoodie? He got on a hoodie too. He look like he ready to fight somebody, man.
while you're getting caught up in some bullshit housewife, while you're having your fucking MJ and LeBron
Too many
debate.
I can't. Nah, you dropping too many F-bombs, brother Roland. That's too many F-bombs on my broadcast. Somebody type family friendly in the chat room. We are family friendly over here, sir.
On who's the GOAT, there is literally, as we speak.
You know the GOAT is King Elijah one. You know that. This is you know, and if not, then it's gonna be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know that, sir.
An entire focus to gut every single civil right and economic gain that we have had since 1964 because they are pissed with those three.
But we are the minority. We're the minority. We're no longer the majority minority. This is the Latinos people's job now. They're the ones in charge, sir. We are the they gone out their way to tell us that they got the numbers, okay? And the Democrats will not say our name unless they need something. So let them have it. They got it. We're resting, Brother Roland. We're resting, bro.
Three acts. They're pissed with the Brown versus Board of Education Act. You have voucher bills that are being pushed in Texas and Tennessee and other places to gut public education. What we have to understand is there is a vicious assault to completely defund Black America.
But y'all won't give Black America anything. That's the problem. You won't actually say our name. Every time you say Black America, you end up with people of color coalitions and stuff like that. If you want Black people to do something, Brother Roland, then you actually have to give Black people something. You have to not just say our name with specificity. You actually have to do something for Black people with specificity. That's what you have to do. That's how that works. Okay. Asking, okay, so you know what it's like? Let me tell you, it's like this. It's like, man, I need one of these women. I need a girlfriend. I need one of these women. Okay, you need one of these women. That's great. That's great. Okay, so you giving all these women different things and whatnot. All of them get $1. You give all these women $1, right? You got 20 women, you give 20 of them $1. And then you start asking one to do something. Well, what about the other 19? Okay, matter of fact, you give the 19 of them $1, and then the one, you don't give them $1, you give one of them $2, and then you ask the one that you didn't give the $1 to do the dishes and vacuum the floor. Hold on a minute. That's not fair. If you're going to ask me to do all this extra stuff, you want me to carry all this weight, you have to give me more. But see, the Black folks have been the most dedicated block of voters for the Democrat Party for the past 60 years. And we just done. And you can't be mad at Black people for that. All you Democrats, you use us, you abuse it, used and abused, and now it's over. That's the problem. And they trying to run the same old play. They trying to come back, but ain't no home. You ain't got no home to come back to, baby. It's over. All right? That's what you all need to understand. Now, we're going to continue because I want to make sure that you all get this full lesson, and I have some things I want to break down for you all. Now, let's talk about what really has many Black politicians and Democrats concerned, okay? And the most obvious and immediate effect isn't just that the Democrats are going to lose some seats. It's that a lot of Black Democratic politicians not only lose their seats, okay, but you're going to have fewer Black congressmen, fewer Black congresswomen, fewer Black districts, fewer Black voters. And that part they want Black people to panic over. Okay, and it'd be different if Black people, Black faces in office guaranteed that Black people would get specificity of things specifically done for us. And that's part of the reason why we're not chomping at the bit to get out there. But again, you know, this so-called, let me say it like this. This ruling does threaten that political pipeline that keeps a lot of Black Democratic politicians in office. But here's where Black people, and especially foundational Black Americans, need to slow down and ask a deeper question. Again, the truth is Black in Congress does not automatically mean foundational Black American representation. And that's where people get confused. You see a Black face and you assume that person is representing our specific interests or specific interests of indigenous Black Americans, foundational Black Americans, those who have ancestry in the country, not just lineage. I want y'all to listen to me. I want y'all to listen to me, okay? Because I had a tough conversation with folk yesterday. All right, FBA has to be more than just lineage, right? Because remember we talked about the Black folk in Trinidad with roots, lineage, FBA lineage. We talked about the Black folk in the Dominican Republic with FBA lineage. We talked about the Black folks in Senegal and Sierra Leone. We talked about the Black folks in Canada. All of them have FBA lineage. So we need to come up with a more exclusive, either exclusive or inclusive definition of what FBA. So I'm gonna go further than just lineage. But that was the whole point of me beating you all up last night, because sometimes people don't learn unless you sock them in the face. But bottom line is, family, you know, people with our specific interests, not necessarily they're not the people in Congress are not necessarily foundational Black Americans, because see, today's Black politicians they got different backgrounds. They come from different communities. Like Ilhan Omar, she's from Africa. She's East African, and she was not consider herself Black, but she looks out for the Somalian community. Okay, because see, a person can still be Black and still put immigrants' rights first. They can be a person who's Black and put Caribbean issues first. They can be a person who's Black and put African foreign policy interests first. A person can be Black and still avoid any direct lineage and specific agenda for foundational Black Americans. That was what you saw with Alan Keyes 20 years ago when he was debating Barack Obama. You understand? We didn't realize that then, but we are more sophisticated people. This has been a long time. You understand? On one side, the ruling is going to reduce the number of Black people in Congress. We get that. That's what the Supreme Court ruled. But on the other side, Black voters need to stop acting like every Black person in Congress is automatically fighting for us anyway. A Black face is not the same thing as a Black agenda. A Black surname is not the same as reparations agenda. A Black congressional seat is not automatically a foundational Black American seat. I want y'all to remember that. So that's one reason I ain't really tripping. You know what I'm saying? Okay, think about this. I want y'all to understand, and let me just bring this home. On the federal level, when you talk about the Congressional Black Caucus, the 119th, they had 62 Black members in there. But you had about at least 4 or 5 known that weren't. Ilhan Omar, who I mentioned, Yvette Clarke, she's from Jamaica. Gabe Amo, he's Ghanaian and Liberian. Maxwell Frost, Puerto Rican. And then you had another guy named Joe Neguse, and he's Eritrean. Okay, so that's just the ones we know about. All right, so all those people, their interests are different. Now, when you want to go somewhere like DC, right, DC, Maryland, that political order, you have a person named Oye Owolo, Nigerian American. She has served as DC's elected shadow representative, and she's now running for DC Council at Large as of June 16, 2026 in the Democratic primary. She's Nigerian. She doesn't hide it. She is who she is. You have other people in the Maryland, DC area, Jiminy Jawando, Dr. Juliet Ogocho, and the lady named Wanika Fisher. All of these are Nigerian Americans. They don't necessarily have foundational Black American interests at hand. They're going to be looking out for the Nigerian population. You would expect them to do nothing else, wouldn't you? Right? So again, you know, when foundational Black Americans ask for a specific agenda like reparations, lineage-based repair, Black American land ownership, Black male employment, protection against migrant labor displacement, restoration of traditional Black neighborhoods and policies that target the descendants of the American slavery system. Too many of these politicians hide behind this broader language of Black and brown or people of color or immigrant communities or global Blackness or marginalized groups. That's the problem. See, Black Americans are asked to vote based on race. They're not asking us to vote for Democrats. They're saying, oh, you should be afraid you won't have any more Black Democrats. They're not saying you won't have any more Democrats, you won't have any more Black Democrats. But the thing is, even if you do have a Black Democrat, they may not be foundational Black American. And on top of that, even if they are a foundational Black American, they might not look out for us. So the question is not simply how many black people are in office or how many we're going to lose. The question is which black people are in office, who put them there, whose community do they answer to, and what specific policy agenda are they advancing for foundational black Americans. And over the past 60 years, many black Americans say, hey, we rolled the dice and we came up snake eyes. And that's why we hands off with it and we're resting. Now, here's another thing. The Democrat Party is going to come to black people and just like you see them doing and saying, look at what the Republicans are doing. They're trying to take away your representation. And yes, the Republicans are going to use this ruling to redraw maps in a way that benefits Republicans. That's what they're going to do. That's politics. But the question black people need to ask Democrats is this: what did you do with the representation when you had it for the past 60 years? Somebody type 60 in the chat room because I want y'all to listen to this, okay? Black people have been loyal to the Democrat Party, all right? And we continue to be loyal. Over 80% of black people vote for the Democrats, all right? So, and because every election cycle, black people are told vote Democrat because Republicans are racist and Republicans are bad and they hate you. Black people vote Democrat. Then Democrats get in power. And then when black people say, well, what are you going to do specifically for us? Suddenly the answers start to change. Suddenly it becomes, well, we have to represent all people. Or it becomes, we're fighting for communities of color. Or we're fighting for working families. We're helping marginalized communities. That's the trick. Because see, people of color doesn't mean black people specifically. Marginalized communities doesn't mean black Americans specifically. Diversity doesn't mean foundational black Americans specifically. Equity doesn't mean a debt paid to the descendants of American slavery specifically. So black people provide the votes, black people provide the margins, black people provide the loyalty, black people provide the congressional seats. But when it's time to write the policy, black people get folded into this everybody else people of color thing. And so over the past 60 years, what has the Democrat Party really offered black people? We got welfare programs, but the white people got that. We got set-asides, but the white women got that. We got these symbolic appointments that don't mean anything. We got this diversity language. We got a lot of speeches. And a lot of these policies didn't rebuild the black community. It didn't restore the black community. It didn't create black ownership. It didn't return stolen land that we took after the Civil War ended and after Reconstruction. They didn't give that back. They didn't repair the damage from slavery. They didn't repair the damage from Jim Crow. They didn't give our forefathers their GI bills. They didn't make up for the hundreds of years we were redlined, the discriminatory lending problem, the segregated schools, the government-backed exclusion. It did none of that. In fact, a strong argument can be made that many of these so-called solutions, shout out to FBA Justice, many of these solutions that they gave us actually weakened the black community because they treated black people as a poverty class instead of a people owed a specific historical debt. They gave us dependency instead of repair. They gave us programs instead of power. They gave us access instead of ownership. You can have a job, but you can't build your own business. And they gave us diversity instead of justice. And here's the kicker. When black people ask, what have you done for black people specifically? They don't want to answer the question directly. You understand? And they've been doing that for a minute. Now, let me run something down to you. I want you to think about this. Who are they really concerned about? See, this is another piece that they don't want to talk about. All right? These people on the internet frantic. Why are you frantic? Because, see, here's it. Congress is not just about public service. Congress is about power. It's about status. And you know what people will do for status. They'll do anything for status, won't they? To shine brighter than the next person. These power-hungry people that they wanted to be class president, they did. These people, they shine. They want to be seen. These talentless people that can't run, can't jump, they have no talent. Their talent is being in Congress. And on top of that, Congress gives them access. Congress gives them influence. These otherwise nobodies, right, can become somebody. Congress's proximity to lobbyists and donors and industry and contractors and universities and foundations and media and corporate America. Shout out to Fuquan. Basically, this is their job. Now, I want you to understand something more to it. Their official salary for the rank and file member of Congress is $174,000 a year. Some of y'all got hustles that pay more than that. You understand what I'm saying? You see? Some of y'all make that type of money. And that's good money, right? But it's been on that level for many years. The real value of being in Congress is not just the salary. It's the network. It's the book deals. It's the speaking engagements. It's the campaign money. It's the consulting world. It's the lobbying pipeline. People come to Congress and they'll chip you up some money just so you can vote a certain way. They really do that. They call that lobbying. They'll give your nephew a job. They'll give your daughter a job, an internship at a law firm. You can get in this Ivy League school. That's how it really works. You connect. You instantly become important in your circle. It's the ability to build a name, build influence, and leave Congress far more powerful and richer than you entered. And many of the congressmen are required to file annual personal financial disclosure. They got to say, where's the money? Where do you get this money from? And this is how we as the public can track how much money they're making. You make $174,000 a year. Okay, you a long-running public servant, right? Okay, you understand? We know that. So how'd you get all this money? Huh? How'd you get these millions of dollars after being in Congress 4 or 5 years? How'd you get to be worth $100 million after being in Congress your whole life? Shout out to FBA Justice. So when these politicians, and that includes those black ones that you saw screaming and hollering on the internet just now, when they sound the alarm to say, oh, black representation is under attack, black people need to hear the full sentence. Yes, black representation may be under attack, but it's these people's career that's really under attack. It's their seats under attack. It's that power under attack. It's that access that's under attack. It's that donor network that's under attack. It's their path to money and wealth. These otherwise nobodies who have no talent. All they did was win a popularity contest, and now they're in there, and people keep voting for them because they recognize their name. Their political careers on the chopping block. They got to go back and get a real job. You understand? And so the thing that's really ruling these people is what's in their personal, their pocket. You see? That's why it hits them so personal. That's why you see them on the internet. Black people, black people, black people. You need to vote. You need to go out and vote. They want black voters to believe the only issue is whether black people will have someone who looks like them in Congress. But the deeper issue is whether those people have actually been using those seats to fight for black Americans specifically, or whether they've been using black voters to get into Congress and then using Congress to build their wealth, their money, their power, and their prestige. That's the question. So yeah, the Supreme Court ruling, it means there's going to be fewer black faces in Congress. I get it. But black people need to ask, what were those people doing for us anyway? Were they fighting for a foundation of black Americans agenda? Been up there a long time. I hadn't heard anything about reparations. I've heard a lot about research and studying, right? Are they fighting for lineage-specific policy? Whatever it is. Are they fighting for black land ownership? Are they fighting for black business ownership? Are they fighting for black male employment? Because you need strong black men who have jobs to support these women. It'd be a lot less fights and arguments amongst the black community right now if these brothers had a lot more money. I'm just saying. Not that men and women don't fight anyway, but if these brothers was out here making a lot of money and we were gainfully employed and doing well for ourselves, women have a lot less to say when you can pay all the bills. I'm just saying, I don't want to get in that. I don't do relationships. I'm just saying. If every black man in this country made the same amount of money that the black white men made and had the same amount of wealth, it'd be a lot less argument. Now, ladies, you have a lot more competition for them, even though you do have competition for them now. I'm just saying. So we need black male employment. Blue collar, white collar, I don't care. But my question is, these so-called black politicians, were they fighting for the communities that actually sent them to Washington? Or were they just protecting their own seat and their own title and their own access and their own donor base and their own career? And see, that's the real conversation. Because losing representation is serious business, right? But fake representation is also serious. And black people have to stop being emotional, allowing these people to blackmail us into defending politicians who use black votes and black pain and black history and black neighborhoods to get power, but refuse to deliver anything specifically for black Americans once they have. And I don't care who talks to you. I don't care if it's your preacher, your politician. I don't care if they're one of my frat brothers out there wearing my Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity stuff across the screen as though that's supposed to give them some extra credence. I don't care who it is. You vote your interest. Now, let me talk to you some. Y'all still with me? Don't be mad. I know you're mad. Some of y'all think I'm a Republican. I'm a registered Democrat. However, I say vote my interest. You vote your interest, I'm gonna vote my interest. Okay? Now you see what's happening. You see the same Democrat politicians on TV. They jumped on it. All of them were on there in that video, right? They're on social media, on radio. They're gonna show up at the black church. They're gonna be at the HBCUs in the black neighborhoods begging black people specifically to register to vote. You understand? Not people of color. They're not gonna go to the people of color neighborhoods. They're not gonna go to the marginalized communities. Okay, they're not worried about the working families. Shout out to Black Abdullah. They're not trying to, they ain't worried about no diverse coalitions at this point. They need power. They know exactly who to call. They call black people. Somebody type black people in the chat room because that's what they said. Somebody type black people in the chat room. When they need power, they know exactly who to call. They call black people. They're going to say, black voters, we need you. Black people, democracy's on the line. Black people voting rights are under attack. Black voter registered to vote. Turn out, save us. That's what they're saying. All right, shout out to Alonzo Dunn. But here's the problem. Black people aren't excited. Are you all excited? I'm not excited. Black people aren't up in arms. Black people aren't alarmed the way Democrats want us to be alarmed. And here's the reason. Black people are tired of being specifically targeted for votes, but never specifically targeted for beneficial policies. That's the contradiction. It's okay for Democrats to ask black people specifically to vote. It's okay for Democrats to ask black people specifically to save democracy. It's okay for Democrats to ask black people specifically to stand in line, organize, register voters, knock on doors, do the phone bank, march, donate, and carry the election. But when black people ask, what are you going to do specifically for us? Suddenly the answers change. Suddenly it becomes we have to represent everybody. Suddenly it becomes we're helping people of color. Suddenly it becomes we're helping working families. Suddenly we're helping the marginalized communities. But that's not the black agenda. That's a political dodge. Because when Democrats want votes, they know how to say black. But when black people want policy, they suddenly forget how to say black. Shout out to FBA Justice. And that's why black people aren't moving. That's why black people aren't jumping off the couch. That's why we not running to the polls like they want us to and like we used to. And that's why the emotional blackmail doesn't work the same way it did before. Because you can't keep asking black people for specific political loyalty while refusing to deliver specific political benefits. And this isn't just emotional. The numbers show the frustration, family. All right. In 2024, there was a Pew research that found that black voters still overwhelmingly vote Democratic, but Republican support amongst black people rose. Donald Trump got 15% of the black voters in 2024. And that's up 8% from 2020 and 6% in 2016. And that's still a Democratic majority, but it shows movement. It shows slippage. It shows that the old fear-based Democratic model isn't holding black voters the same way it used to. And the Pew also projected that there were 34.4 million eligible black voters in the United States in 2024, up from 32 million in 2020. In Georgia, black people accounted for 1/3 of the eligible voters. In other words, Democrats know black voters are still numerically powerful, especially in those key states, because that's the most important thing. Shout out to my man, James Turner. It's the key states. It's the Michigan, it's the North Carolinas, it's the Virginias, it's the Georgias. You see what I'm saying? And that's why they come to us so directly when power is on the line. But what did that loyalty produce in those cities? What do we get? Because then let's be honest with y'all. I know we got some diehard Democrats up in here, baby. I know y'all love the Democrat Party. Y'all ride or die for the Democrat Party. I ain't that loyal to a political party. I don't know them people like that. I don't know those people like that. I'm not that loyal. I'm going to vote my interests. You understand what I'm saying? And I think everybody in here is. Now, what did they do for us? What did those Democrats do with all those power? What did they do in Memphis? What's the nickname for Memphis? What do they call Memphis? Huh? Well, let me tell you a little bit about Memphis. I got some good people from Memphis. Huh? Memphis is one of the blackest majority cities in America, and it's been governed by Democrat politics for decades. But the Census Bureau in 2020 to 2024, it shows that Memphis has a poverty rate of 23.1%, which is almost every 1 in 4 people living in Memphis is in poverty. And you wonder why they have so much crime. The University of Memphis 2025 poverty fact sheet says that black poverty in the city was 27.9, but that's 28%. And its 2023 report showed that the city child poverty rate was 32.7%. This is a modern United States of America. You understand what I'm saying? So when Democrats come to a black town like Memphis, when they come to black Memphis and say, save democracy, black people have the right to ask, well, what did democracy do for us while you're running the city right now? Because if 1 out of 4 people are poor, and these are black people, almost 1 out of 3 children are living in poor, then we're not looking at success over here. We're looking at political management and or mismanagement and poverty. What about New Orleans? Shout out to all my people in the NO. New Orleans is another heavily black city. I used to live in New Orleans. Before Hurricane Katrina hit, I came over here. I was over there. Heavily black city. It was more so before Katrina hit. But there was a report that said that in 2024, 36% of black children in New Orleans live in poverty. And you wonder why there's so much crime. Now compare that with 3% of white children. Do you think that's a big gap? That's a canyon, family. That the same source said the radical disparities in child poverty have persisted in New Orleans for 40 years. And this isn't just poverty, it's crime, because along with poverty come crime. You don't have gang banging and shooting and killing and drive-by in rich black neighborhoods, in those rich enclaves. We don't have that problem. Crime follows poverty and family breakdown and unemployment and disorder. New Orleans had a violent crime rate, all right? One of the highest in the nation, all right? Far above the U.S. averages. I think was 853.5 out of 100,000 residents. That's pretty high, okay? All of these, the FBI says that the national violent crime decreased in both 2023 and 2024, but it mainly stayed heavy in the Democrat urban centers. They remain far above the national average, run by Democrats. These are the numbers, man. You can be mad at me if you want to, okay? And so when black people in New Orleans vote Democrat, are they gonna vote Democrat again? They have a right to say, well, what are you gonna do for us? What are you gonna do about this poverty and this crime and these busted up neighborhoods? They're just gonna give you more speeches? What about Detroit? Detroit was once a great industrial city in America. It was a place where a working man could support a family. A city they had factories, they had jobs, they had auto plants, they had union wages, they had neighborhoods, churches, black working class, opportunity. Detroit population peaked at 1.85 million in 1950. By 2020, it got so bad, man, it's down to 640,000. Lost 65% of its people. That decline is tied to deindustrialization. It's tied to white flight. It's tied to political failures over decades. Now, Detroit's poverty numbers are astronomical, man. From 2020 to 2024, the poverty rate is 32.7. We're not talking about a city like New Orleans or Memphis in the deep South, man. We talking about Detroit, Motown. You understand me? They say 51% of the children in Detroit live below poverty. Think about that, man. So what exactly are black people supposed to be excited about in that regard? And we ain't got to Baltimore. What about Baltimore? Huh? The poverty rate in Baltimore is 19.7%. That's double Maryland's statewide poverty rate. Baltimore is an example of a city where black people have been told to keep voting the same way, keep voting blue no matter who, keep trusting the same machine, keep supporting the same party, keep accepting the same excuses. But the schools, the neighborhoods, the family structure, the crime conditions, and the economic outcomes are still, they tell a different story. And the same thing goes in places like St. Louis, one of the biggest, most important cities in America. In 1950, had 1 million people. That's a lot. By 1980, it was 450. Right now, it's under 300,000. 20% of the people live below the poverty line. Again, black people are supposed to keep being loyal to the same political structure while the city shrinks. People are moving down south. They're moving to Republican states. They're moving to Georgia. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Alabama, Louisiana. You understand? Well, maybe not Louisiana, but they're definitely moving to Texas. See, poverty isn't just about money. Poverty creates stress. You ever lived in the hood? You can't have nothing nice in the hood. You can't raise a nice family in the hood. It's the hood. You can be nice, but the hood ain't nice. You live in the ghetto, you're going to have ghetto problems. You live near the ghetto, you're going to have ghetto problems. It's an old saying that goes, man. You guys don't know a lot, man. My family moved. When I was born, we live on the east side of LA near the Bottoms. East side, 48th Street, right off of Long Beach Boulevard. They call it the Low Bottoms. Matter of fact, the name of the projects nearby was the Pablos. And let me tell you something about living next to the projects. You live next to the projects, you might as well live in the projects. And it just goes to show, if you live in the ghetto, you're going to have a ghetto experience. That's why all these immigrants that come over here from these other countries, they push these people straight to the ghetto, and they have nothing but bad things to say about foundational Black America, because you're dealing with poor people in the ghetto who've been in the ghetto generationally. So you're going to have poor people problems. Poverty makes women more likely to rely on government systems instead of husbands and fathers and families and churches and community. Poverty creates crime. Poverty makes it harder to raise a family, to stay together. It makes it harder on men. It makes it harder to get married and stay married. You understand? I know this is a hard conversation. They had this report back in 1965 called the Moynihan Report or Moynihan Report. And it warned Black families instability was becoming a national crisis. And the Department of Labor's own historical version of the report said that the Black illegitimacy rate rose from 16.8% in 1940 to 23% in 1963, while the white rate rose from 2% to 3%. You see what I'm saying? Because they gave us all that free stuff. Here, go ahead and take this. Leave your husband. This is what the Democrats gave us. So by 1965, you had about a 1/4 of Black children were being born outside of marriage. 2021, They say 64% of black children live in a single parent home, compared to 24% of white children and 16% of Asian children. You understand what I'm saying? They gave us these baubles and trinkets, and we fell for it. So when we start asking the Democrat Party, what have you actually done for us? You gave us some welfare? Huh? You gave us a system to incentivize the breakup of the black family? I'm just saying. And I'm not look, man, I know some people that really need it. I feel you on that. Everybody needs a little help every now and then. Get yourself on your feet. That's what we have it for. We don't want people living under the bridge. I'm for a little self-help. I'm for a little help. But they say if women can receive housing, food assistance, healthcare assistance, cash benefits, vouchers, and other support with no husband in the home, she ain't got to hear his loud mouth coming home. Then the government becomes the alternative provider. And that doesn't mean every woman on assistance. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying they're lazy or nothing like that. She might just not want to hear his shit. And then she got another option. She can get the money from the government instead of him and not have to deal with him. You see? It means that the system can reduce the economic necessity of keeping a family together. Let's just keep it 100. Ladies, you know why you don't like a man having other chicks? Huh? Why you don't want your man having a side chick? If he got a side chick, he might not come home to you. Let me tell you about these goddamn cats I got around here. I got some cats. I bought one cat, and then my neighbor kept feeding the cat. And so now the damn cat won't come home. So I got another cat. And then she tried to bribe that cat, and he like to eat. Y'all know Buddy. Buddy's my second cat. Buddy come home. He eat her food and he'll come home. And now I got this, but still we want two cats. So now I got this other cat, and his name is Vito, and Vito be gone for 2 or 3 days. You see, a country cat. We got him. We got the other two from the kennel, and somebody gave Vito. Vito, one of them country cats that grew up with his gene. I mean, they damn near wild. So he just be gone for 2 or 3 days. He show up at the front door at night or in the morning, meow, loud as hell. You see what I'm saying? But again, the whole point of that is saying, if you give people another option, more likely they'll take it. That's just nature. So if a woman is receiving housing, food, and all that stuff, and if she don't need a family, no need to stay together. And if we can recognize that in the cat, of course a human being is gonna make that decision too. And so the government comes your backup man. And your real man's becomes an option. And that was the whole point. Shout out to Aaron G. Biggs. I can't say that name. Aaron G. That boy. Gibbs. Oh, Aaron Gibbs. Thank you. Shout out to you. But again, once men become optional, fathers become optional, marriage becomes optional, family stability becomes optional, and then the community pays the price, because fatherless homes don't just produce economic problems, they produce a discipline problem. You see, they produce, y'all see my boy here, you see how disciplined he is? What's the most important? Y'all saw my son over here, right? Just so you know, my boy is over at U of H working on his engineering degree, and a very disciplined young man. You see what he had on? What did he have on when he came in here? You guys who just got here early. He had on his kimono, he practices jujitsu, discipline. You see, so sometimes I'm here talking to y'all on the internet, so I had to farm out the discipline. Now I can afford to pay for different martial arts coaches that yell at them and make them do push-ups and stuff like that, but discipline. And so when you don't have a father in the home, sometimes you don't get that discipline. That's not saying women can't get coaches and other men involved. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is having your daddy in home is going to keep you in line, because there's always that threat of it could pop off if I say something crazy to daddy. So it keeps them in line. Again, fathers produce discipline. It's just natural. Okay. They also help curb emotional problems. Okay. They help produce educational results that are good. And the other thing is, you got enough men in the community, the neighborhood is going to be real calm. You understand what I'm saying? And on top of that, because you have fathers working, we cure poverty. So fatherlessness and poor schools and weak churches and low and unemployment, and they all play hand in hand. Okay. See? Now, that's why black people aren't jumping off the couch. This is what the Democrats did to us. This is why I'm not saying don't vote Democrat. If it's in your interest to do it, do it. I'm not one of these people. Vote your interest. Anybody looking at this broadcast, I want you to say, Dennis Spurling said, vote your interest, whatever it may be. I'm just explaining to you all why black people aren't up in arms because the Supreme Court, quote unquote, gutted the Voting Rights Act. But I am trying to explain to people as these Democrats are begging black people to come save them, why we not? Now look, black folks overwhelmingly voted for Trump in 2024. I don't expect anything to change in the near future. I don't expect that to change. However, we are looking. You see, we watching. We see. We see how you do us. We see you try to. We see that you all tried to trade us in for the Latinos. That's what you tried to do. Okay, isn't that what they try to do? That's what they try to do. What did the Democrat give us in those cities I mentioned? Did they give us safer streets? Did the Democrats give us stronger families? Did they give us better public schools for black children? Since they want black people to vote, because this is why we're saying it. Don't ask for black people to come out to vote, and you can't tell us specifically what you did for black people. I want black people's name on it. Don't say we did this and this helped marginalized family. Forget that. What did you do for black people specifically? Did you lower the poverty rate for black people? Huh? Where is our name at? Yeah, maybe the poverty rate went down, but did you target black people specifically? Did you target black people for mass black home ownership or mass black business ownership? What about reparations? Why is this such a dirty word for black people? Where's the policy package specifically for foundational black Americans? Did you give us that? No, not at all. What they produced was speeches and welfare programs and dependency systems and nonprofit networks and symbolic representation and failing schools and broken neighborhoods and this whole people of color language. And another election season, they demanded black people to come save the Democrat Party. That's why there's no enthusiasm there. Black people are starting to understand the arrangement, and we don't like it. The Democrat Party wants black people specifically when it needs power, but when black people specifically need policy, the Democrat Party starts to speak in code. People of color, equity, inclusion, diversity, black and brown. And we hear what that really means. It means we need your votes, but we're not going to give you anything in return. It means we'll use your history, but we won't pay your debt. We'll use your suffering, but we won't repair your community. It means we'll ask you to defend democracy, but we won't defend your family. We'll tell you Republicans are racist, but we won't explain why our cities are still poor after decades of our leadership. So now, when these politicians get on TV and social media and they start panicking about the Supreme Court ruling and begging black people to register, and black people should ask, we should say simple question. Why is it acceptable to ask black people specifically to vote for you, but it's unacceptable for black people to ask you, what have you done specifically for us? And see, that's the question they never want to answer. And that's why black people aren't moving the same way we used to. It's why some of y'all aren't voting, why some of y'all are voting Republican. It's why you all aren't enthusiastic. They don't want to answer that question. But anyway, I want to go ahead and take the opportunity to read these super chats and Thank you all so much. Let's start off with the Cash App. You all hit the #1 button and let me know you're in here now. I know you all know what to do. You know what time it is. Okay. First of all, let me thank my man, whoever this is. Let me see. Hold on a minute. Oh, Michelle Edward, thank you so much, baby, for that $5 Cash App. I appreciate you. Got them pretty little teeth and pretty glasses. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for the Cash App. Now, I want to take the opportunity to thank these folks. As I say all the time, if you learn something, I should earn something. And that's kind of how we go. But you know what I need to do? I forgot I'm supposed to do this. I need y'all to patronize some Black businesses, okay? I need you all to patronize some Black businesses. That's what I need you to do for me. I need you to patronize some Black businesses, okay? That's the most important thing. Speaking of which, if you've been involved in a car accident, give me a call at 713-229-0770. Clearly, the money I'm making on this social media is not going to pay me well enough to maintain the lifestyle that I've become accustomed to living. So I appreciate if you all will contribute to my well-being by calling me and utilizing my legal services. And again, as I say, let's keep it real simple. I practice car accidents. I do car accidents, okay? Don't call me if you had a family law case. I'm gonna hang up on you. Your mama if your grandma need a will written, don't call me. If your baby brother's in jail, don't call me. Call me if you've been in a car accident at that number at the bottom, 713-229-0770. Are we clear? Somebody type clear in the chat room. Don't you call. Don't get your big head on the telephone. Yeah, I'm going to call Dennis Spurling right now. Don't call me. Call me if you've been in a car accident. That's where I'm going to make my money. All right? I'll do a good job for you. All right. You heard what I said. If you've been in a car accident, been doing this 25 years, going on 26, great reputation. I will fight for you all night, okay? And I might bust a little rap song. But anyway, shout out to GY Green, 1411, good information. TG Patel, thank you for the $9.99 super sticker. Also, Fuquan, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Kimberly, welcome to the membership. Hey, thank you, Kimberly. You the same one who gave me that $5. Thank you, baby. Appreciate you. Also, thank you, Clarence Thomas, our FBA brother, getting these fake promises about the Democrats out of here. Thank you so much. Storyteller, quality information as always. I appreciate that, man. I hope y'all learned something. Mecadey, Metcaddy Ibmore, thanks for breaking that down. That rule, yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad I was able to do that. It's, I almost didn't do this broadcast, but I'm glad I did. Solo Dolo, one of my guys from way back. Thank you so much for the $5. My man, Fuquan coming in. I appreciate you, man. The consistent contributions. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Oh, my Kalani Burris, thank you for the 98.73. I hope y'all learned something. Tell me what you liked the most. What did you learn the most tonight? I need to do that. I need to know what you guys keyed in on the most. Please let me know. I'd like to know that. That's the feedback. Lee Edward, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Fitzgerald, thank you for the $10 super sticker. Who else we got in here? Sonny Robinson, Dennis, never stop spreading the truth and lead and keep raising your young line. I will, man. I'm trying to make sure that they represent us well. You understand me? I want to be what the old people used to call a credit to the race. You see what I mean? I want black people, when you say my name, say, yeah, that brother really, I didn't necessarily agree with everything he said, or I did agree with a lot he had to say. And I don't expect anybody to agree with everything I say. We're not the same. But as long as I present it to you where you can make your own decision and how you feel. Again, my whole position is vote your interests. Don't let anybody tell you what to do or how to live. You vote your interests. That's my thing. Shout out to L Jackson. Thank you so much. Did I see B Hunter? Thank you for the super sticker. L Jackson 247. Thank you for the 1999 super sticker. Quan, again, thank you for the super sticker. Again, my man came through. Pooh H, welcome to the membership. Pooh H U41. We got 33 super chats, man. We are doing great, and it's late. Black Dula, thank you for the. He said, peace and blessings, Brother Dennis. Each one teach one. Good looking out, family. Appreciate you. Vote blue. glittering generality is getting played out. We need to start protecting our interests. I agree, man. Vote your interests. That's all I'm saying. My whole thing is vote your interests. Nobody can tell you what to do. You vote what is in your interest. You are free thinking, autonomous human beings. That is what our ancestors fought for. The so-called black representation is their name only, just holding positions of power and fighting to keep job instead of policies. Thank you so much, family. I appreciate you. Let me see. He said the so-called black representation. Oh, I'm sorry. Few quiet, good looking out. Appreciate you for the super sticker. FBA Justice. Dennis, you are describing the boule. Camera hungry. Look at me, shills. I know, right? It's funny. Well, the ancestors are rising up against the backstabbers. Good looking out, baby. Appreciate you. Who else we got in here? Black Abdullah. He said, get them out of office. Don't put tethers in. Alonzo Dunn. Okay, Johnson deemed us ungovernable in the 60s and brought over Africans to replace us, sent them to Ivy League schools. Their first gens are the sleeper cell, and they have quietly gained power in D.C. Thank you so much. Very insightful. U.S. government has a whole program to bring immigrants on full. Wow. Yeah, this is the fight for the future. Also, Dennis, you kicking A, loving the content, how to contact you for legal questions. Let me see that number running across the bottom. It says 713-229-0770. Car accidents. Now, I don't do all that stuff anymore that I used to do back in the day. I'm sophisticated now. But anyway, thank you so much, FBA7. All facts, great job. Good looking out. Aaron Gibbs, thank you for the super stick. Aaron, what's up, 06? Shout out to my frat brother, Aaron Gibbs. Good looking out. Eddie Washington, I got 5 on. Man, you thank you for coming through, brother. I appreciate you, man. You guys, y'all are cool, man. Wanda Rogers, thank you for the super sticker. Also, Aaron Biggs, again, thank you for the $5. I appreciate y'all, man. This is cool, man. Let me go ahead and put the Cash App back up. Remember, if you've been in a car accident, give me a call. The other thing I need you all to do, and I'm gonna go ahead and check the super chat right quick because I want to know if y'all been doing what I asked you to do. Not super chat. I'm gonna ask. I'm looking. I need to know. You know what I'm about to look at, right? Somebody type 100,000 in the chat room. Somebody type 100,000 in the chat room. You know what I'm about to look at. You know what I'm about to look at, right? How many of you all have hit the like button since you've been here? If you haven't hit the like button, I want you to take the opportunity to hit the like button now. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button now. Okay, we got to get these. I want to be 100,000. I want to be one of the top 1% of YouTubers on the planet Earth. I want 100,000. We short. No, we're not gonna play this game. You know what time it is. 100,000. Y'all know. You all know what you have to do. You know what you have to do. I need y'all to make sure y'all subscribe to the channel. Let me see what my subscriptions look like. We ain't taking a break, but you all need to go ahead and are you learning something? If you hadn't learned anything, you just hard to teach. But if you learn something, I should earn something. But in the meantime, I need y'all to make sure. Apparently, YouTube took 20 of my subscribers away for whatever reasons. I need you all to make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel right now. Take the time to subscribe to the channel. I'm checking to see what my subscriptions look like right now. I need you all to take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel. You'll never get another person as bold as me. I need, I need approximately 18 people to subscribe to the channel so I can get to 92,600. I need 18 people to subscribe to the channel so I can get to 92,600. Okay, so take the time and hit your little button and subscribe to the channel right now. I know you hear me. I know you hear me. I know. I'm looking at you. You right there. You with your phone like this on the side of your face. I'm looking you in the pickup, you in the truck with your phone down there listening to me in your truck. You riding across the country. Yeah, you. I need you to subscribe to the channel right now. Don't play. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead. You sitting in there ignoring your girlfriend, listening to me. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead. Everybody who have something else to do and you sat up here and decide to listen to me with your earphones on, subscribe to the channel right now. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Is he talking to me? I'm talking to you. You with the shirt on. I'm talking to you right now. And I'm talking to you too, lady. I'm talking to you with the bonnet on your head. All the women with bonnets on your head. Every woman with a bonnet on her head, I need you to subscribe to the channel right now. All right? Fellas. All the fellas with crusty feet, I need you to subscribe to the channel right now. I need my crusty feet crew. All the brothers that have not put lotion on their feet and they got ashy ankles, I need you to subscribe to the channel. All the white supremacists who are waiting around for me to to get the black committee to issue an official apology, I need y'all to hit the subscribe button now. Go ahead and do it. All the angry Muslims, all the angry black Muslims, I need you to come in here. I need you to subscribe. You need to hear this. You need to come on up in and hear this. I need 6 more people to subscribe to the channel right now. All you angry, come on. Come on now. Don't run from it. Don't just be happy it's not your day. Just be happy it's not your day. I'll be on them. When people die, I give them their day. Haitians, they caught hands last week. The poor Haitians, they were like, what are you doing to me? We are doing. Yeah, I caught hands. It's not your day today, baby. Subscribe to the channel today. Go ahead. We need 5 more people to subscribe to the channel, and I get back to work. I need 5 people. Out of 600-700 of y'all, I need 5 folk. You send this to a friend. Send this to your Muslim friend. He about to do his hadith. He over there, talking about don't eat pork. Don't eat pork. Send him this. Next time you say, that's why I've been eating them pork rinds in front of you right now. I didn't know. Yeah. I need 5 people. All I need is 5 people to subscribe to the channel, and we will be at 92,000. Okay, I need 4 people. Don't hate watch. You're not going to sit up here and hate watch me. You're going to subscribe to this channel. 3 people. I need 3 people to subscribe to the channel. I need 3 more people. Look where we at. I want y'all to see where we at. Okay? See that? See, you can't see. It's almost, I need 3 people to subscribe to the channel, and I get back to work. I got more to say. I'll talk to you. 2 people. I need 2 people. I got 92,598 people. Subscribe to the channel now. 1 person. I need 1 person to get me to 92,600. And I get back to work. I'm going to get back to work as soon as y'all give me my 92,600 people. There we go. Praise God. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? Now let's get back. Let's get back to where we at. I'd like to thank all the crusty feet people, all the ladies with bonnets on. Okay, I'd like to thank all the angry Muslims, all the white supremacists. Everybody's welcome here with Uncle D, baby. Everybody welcome to get this work. Uncle D is passing out the truth over here. I'm here to hurt your ears, make you feel bad. Yeah, next time they tell you don't eat that pork sandwich, brother. You know you worshiping the damn racist ass religion. You got that brother-in-law trying to, yeah, man, when you gonna come down to the mob? You know you're racist, man. But anyway. Yes, yeah, we back. We back. All right. Y'all did what you had to do. That's why we back. Okay? That's why we here today. You all been subscribing to the channel. Now, here's the thing. Got something else I want to talk to you all about. All right, we got a lot of good information in here, but I need to close this out so you'll say, damn, that guy right there, I really learned something. Remember, you don't owe me anything. I appreciate all the people who contributed to the Super Chat and the Cash App and the PayPal. I don't think the PayPal's up, but I appreciate the Super Chats and the Cash App. All right? Now, look, let me talk to all you Democrats. All you folk out here who are diehard Democrat. I'm a registered Democrat. Just so you know, I vote Democrat, I vote Republican, I vote my interest. Okay? Now, the Democrat Party believe it could replace Black Americans with this broader minority coalition. Okay? Especially by leaning more heavily on the Latino voters. On paper, that strategy looks pretty darn good because Latinos, they're deep. They're growing fast. They're the minority. They're the majority minority. Now, here's some numbers. There were 36.2 million Hispanic eligible voters in 2024. That made Latinos about 14.7% of the eligible voters. And that's double since 2000. Okay? When it was they were only 7.4%. They doubled. But the problem for Democrats is that the numerical growth doesn't equal its political unity. Let me explain something to you. We've seen this. Latinos aren't one people in the same historical, cultural, or political sense like foundational Black Americans are one people. Latino and Hispanic are umbrella categories that they just throw the Mexicans and the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans and the Dominicans, Salvadorians, Guatemalans, Venezuelans, Colombians. They even throw the Brazilians in there in the broader Latin American sense. And here's the cold part. You got white Latinos, Black Latinos, indigenous Latinos, mestizos, recent immigrants, old stock Tejanos. You got Caribbean Latinos, Central Americans, South Americans, Catholic evangelicals, conservatives, socialists, anti-communists, Cuban, labor-oriented Mexicans, and many other distinct groups and categories and subcategories. And that is not one culture. That's the census category that white folk put them under. You might as well call them Latinx. Black people have given Democrats a sustained voting block because foundational Black American culture developed one shared American racial identity. That culture was forged through slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, redlining, convict leasing, segregation, state violence, the Black church, civil rights movement, the Great Migration, soul food, blues, jazz, gospel music, hip hop, HBCUs, the barbershop talk, the beauty salon talk, extended kinship, and the shared memory of American anti-Blackness. Culture is not a costume. And on top of that, it's not just food. It's not symbolic. It's not identity, just for the sake of identity. Culture is a functional survival system, a group's inherited blueprint for protection, cohesion, identity, and long-term survival. That's why Black Americans could be relied upon as a political bloc in a way Latinos never will be able to. Foundational Black Americans weren't brought together by a government label and stuck in the same room or stuck in the same category. We were fused together by a common American struggle over centuries. We are one people. And see, that's also why Black American culture is different from the various Latino cultures and also different from the multiple African and immigrant cultures. See, among foundational Black Americans, the first social question is not what nation are you from or what tribe you're from. The first question is, are you Black? But we can pretty much tell. And see, that's a survival adaptation. Are you all with me? Somebody type survival adaptation. See, in the United States, Blackness itself has been the basis of exclusion, segregation, violence, and political denial. That's why we came together. So the FBA identity developed around racial solidarity because racial solidarity was what we needed to survive. We were under attack, not because of our tribe, not because of our nation, but because of the color of our skin. FBA culture as a system, we rejected those tribal divisions that we might have brought from Africa. They threw all of us on the same boat, same plantation. So we favored racial cohesion. We gave up tribalism for brotherhood. Because in American context, a tribal fragmentation, that'd have been fatal. Now, by contrast, many Africans and Caribbean immigrants, they arrived from their various Caribbean countries and their various nations. They have a national identity, ethnic, tribal, or some island-based identity. You see? That's what they put first, not their color. That's why a Nigerian will tell you, I'm not Nigerian or I'm not Ghanaian. And when you go deeper, they'll say, I'm Igbo, I'm Yoruba. That's why a Jamaican is not going to say he's Haitian, or Trinidadian, or Somalian, Ethiopian, and so on and so forth. That doesn't make them wrong for having their identities. And more importantly, it explains why their culture fails here. See, if you could be you could be as much Trinidadian or Jamaican as here in the United States as you could be in Jamaica, you will continue being a Jamaican. It's easier. If you can continue being a Ghanaian and practicing your ways and all that stuff here in the United States, you would. But it doesn't work here. Again, I'm not saying that wrong. I'm just saying that don't work in America. Their culture as is fails here. And so they're forced to tether themselves to foundational Black American culture and hide in our identity to find success. And this is why that delineation movement has received so much pushback from all these Black immigrants who never saw it coming. See, but for that purpose, or should I say for the purpose of this conversation, it also means that their political consciousness isn't automatically the same as ours. And see, this is why the Democrat Party's whole replacement theory, we're going to replace Black Americans with Black immigrants and Latinos and anybody else we can cobble together. Democrats think they can just swap Black voters out for Latino. But the recent voting data already shows that that's flawed in its assumption. Look here, man. In 2024, the Pew found that Trump came nearly even with Kamala when it came to getting Hispanic voters. He only lost by 3 percentage points. Now compare that to Democrats who Hispanic voters. Look, man. That's a warning sign to all you Democrats out there who think you could just throw Black people away. Latinos have the numbers, but they don't vote as one unified people because they're not one unified people. Cuban voters in Florida don't vote like Mexican Americans in California or Texas. Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania don't vote like Venezuelans in South Florida. Guatemalans and Colombians and Dominicans and Brazilians and Mexicans don't carry the same historical memory or racial interest or immigration politics or class interest or party loyalty. So Democrats are chasing the coalition that it look good on paper, but it doesn't exist in real life. Shout out to GCLA. Foundational Black Americans are different because our culture is a survival culture. It was created under a hostile condition, refined through collective struggle. And FBA culture is a culture under fire. It's a system of beliefs and practices that turn exclusion into innovation, suffering into music, scarcity into cuisine, church into a political infrastructure, language into a coded communication, and a shared pain into a collective identity. That's why our culture has had such an extraordinary success as a tiny minority group in America. And we flipped the script and become a global influence. That was not supposed to happen. We were supposed to be dead before we invented jazz. We were supposed to be removed before blues showed up, and gospel and rock and roll and R&B and hip hop and soul food and the Black church and the civil rights movement. We wasn't supposed to here to do all that. These white folk didn't plan on having us here. They tried to ship us back to Africa, Sierra Leone. They're trying to get us up out of here, man. Send them back to make a country up and call it Liberia and Liberty. Here's a few N-words. Go over here to Liberty's town. We weren't supposed to be here. We weren't supposed to come up with these politics of protest that's so effective, or streetwear, or African vernacular language, or African-American vernacular language. We weren't supposed to come up with this athletic. We weren't supposed to be dominating their sports. We weren't supposed to be this damn cool. We are the inventors of American swag. All that is tied to foundational Black American creativity. That the point isn't merely that Black Americans have culture. That same culture they say we don't have, The point is the Black American culture has functioned as a survival technology. Now check this out. That's why this moment shouldn't panic Black people. I want y'all to listen because I don't do all that fear mongering. Shout out to Wayne Lundy. Don't be afraid of what's going on, fam. I don't care how many Democrats get on the internet and scream and holler. Let them panic. We've been through worse political seasons before. In 1965, Black America was still coming out of Jim Crow poverty. We was dead broke. We were poor. You understand? Most of us were poor. Just so you understand, in 1963, Black poverty was around 51%, compared to white America was 15%. The majority of us were poor. I mean, below the poverty line, poor. You understand what I'm saying? That's poor. Syrup sandwiches for dinner and breakfast and lunch. Now, by 2021, Black poverty had fallen all the way to 20%. You hear me? That means 80% of us are living above the poverty line, which means 80% of us are upper middle class, rich, or working middle. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not me saying that. That's the Census Bureau. It reported that the official Black poverty rate had reached a record low of 17.1%. We a whole different people. We rich. That's in 2022. And from 2018 to 2026, we went from 1,700,000 millionaires to 2 million millionaires. It just came out. I'm not making, look it up. 1 in every 25 Black people is a millionaire. Now, I'm not saying that Black America has reached equality. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that everything is all good. But what I can say is that we are balling on their asses. That's what I can say. Shout out to us. We are doing that, especially under the circumstances. We still face wealth gaps and ownership gaps and institutional barriers. But look who we comparing ourselves to. We have comparing ourselves to white people, and they had a 300-year head start. But most importantly, it means we're not the same people economically that we were in 1965. We're far more educated. We're far more professional. We're more suburban. We're not locked in those inner cities anymore, in the ghettos. We're more politically aware. We're more capable of building outside the old Democrat welfare system framework. And that Democrat old model was built on the assumption that Black people were poor and permanently dependent and permanently afraid. That ain't us. So the message I have to my Black brothers and sisters is this: the Democrat Party may have outlived its usefulness as a default political home for our people. Maybe we need a new party. Maybe we can vote for some of these people and some of these other groups. I'm just saying, we're not a people whose entire political future should be reduced to welfare and subsidized housing and food stamps and symbolic representation and this whole people of color language. Some Black people need government assistance, just like a lot of white people need government assistance. But Black America as a people can't be defined by dependency. That's how they got us. FBA culture as a self-reliant, adaptive institution, building and survival-oriented culture. That's the direction we have to return to. You see, family, ownership, education, business, marriage. And if not marriage, long-term, stable relationships where you're not cheating on each other. Discipline, community institutions, lineage-specific political demands. And see, these Democrats, you think you're gonna replace us with these Latinos? You just think you can replace all this one people of color for these other people of color? You think that's how it's gonna work? They may think they can continue to ask black people specifically for votes, but while refusing to give black people specific policy. That's what they think. But they got a surprise coming. And see, that Latino coalition isn't unified enough to replace the black vote as a dependable political machine. Immigrant groups aren't automatically loyal to black American interests. African and Caribbean immigrants aren't automatically aligned with FBA lineage claims. And black Americans no longer are in the same position we were 60 years ago. We've survived the worst this country has done. We've built the most influential culture in America under pressure. That's why it's so successful. And if they could have got rid of us, they would have done it a long time ago. We the only ones that can get rid of us. And if Democrats can no longer use us the way they used to, then maybe this is the moment black Americans finally stop begging political parties for rescue and start operating like what we know we are, a distinct people with a distinct history, a distinct culture, and distinct political needs and interests. And the Democrats, all of this, I just want y'all to know, all of this could have been avoided. This entire political crisis y'all are in, screaming and hollering, asking for black people to come in. Help, help, help us, black people, help. All of this could have been avoided if you simply had given black Americans our tangibles. If you had spoken to black people with the same specificity and energy you're using right now, that your power is threatened, this conversation would have been a lot different. And now that you need us, suddenly you know how to say our name. Suddenly you know how to say black turnout. Suddenly you know how to say black churches, black neighborhoods, black media spaces, black communities. You know how to ask for us specifically to come save you. But when black people ask for specific policies and specific repair and specific investment and specific protection and specific lineage-based justice, you hid behind the people of color and working families and equity and diversity and inclusion. That was your mistake. See, you wanted black votes without a black agenda. You wanted black loyalty without black compensation. You wanted black fear without black repair. You wanted the moral authority of the civil rights movement without paying the debt owed to the descendants of the people who made that movement necessary. If you didn't want to give us reparations, if you didn't want to give us the land policies we needed and the ownership policy or the business capital or targeted education repair or crime protection or family restoration or anything specific foundational black Americans, then now you're going to lose these seats. You're going to lose your influence. You're going to lose your committees. You're going to lose your titles. You're going to lose your staff. You're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your power. They're going to send your black behind right back here with us. And nobody's coming to save you. And that's the part y'all didn't calculate. You thought we were going to be your fool's feather. You assumed black people would always come running because the Republicans was worse. You assumed fear would keep working forever. You assumed you could make us afraid of racism. We never was afraid of racism, especially not this generation. It's something we grew up with. So y'all thought we'd keep giving you votes while you gave everybody else what they wanted. But now you're looking at a future with some of those seats, a lot of those seats are going to just disappear. When those majority black districts get cracked apart, it's going to be those same black voters that you ignored. And so now you're going to be in a situation where you have no power, no authority, and no guarantee. No political machine, nothing that you can rely on is going to keep feeding you. The stream of campaign money and contributions and donor access and lobbyist attention consulting opportunities and speaking invitations and travel influence and favors and private meetings and private jets and all that other benefits that you all were getting for holding on. It's gone. It's going to dry up. And it didn't have to be this way, baby. All you had to do was treat us right. See, you thought you was playing us and you end up playing yourself. So y'all treated Black America like a political resource instead of a people owed a debt. A people with a history attached and demands that needed to be met. You thought you could just keep using Black suffering as a campaign language while refusing to deliver Black specific results. And now these little map changes and these district changes and the little seats gonna disappear. You're not important anymore because the voters aren't responding. Don't be confused. Black people didn't abandon you. You abandoned Black people. And you get what's coming to you. This is Uncle D, as I always said this time. I'm out.
In the Spurling podcast, hit the like button, subscribe.